Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Valence League 2 stream. Tonight we've got some League of Legends action. It's week 3. It's actually week 2 for this division, and this is Division 4. My name's Cradden, and casting with me tonight is Temporal. How's it going?
Good evening, Valence League 2. It's okay. Another warm day, and we all know, as most vampires do, I wither and die in the heat. But today we're doing okay. We're back for some more Div 4 League of Legends, my personal favorite, with a bit of an El Clasico between Seven Deadly Sins and Vengeance Academy.
Yeah, I hope there isn't any garlic bread as the prize for casting. Hopefully it's just VL coins. If we're talking about similar monsters, Vengeance Academy are going to try and be the zombies. They lost 2-0 to Hentai Haven in the first match of Division 4 last week. In fact, that's the only Division 4 match that's taken place as I speak now. So Seven Deadly Sins yet to test their roster in competition in this split 3.
Yeah, made a return. Was it towards the end of last split? Fill me in here. This is some Valence League history, I believe.
Yeah, we've had pretty consistent rosters. I think we've had Joe as a new entrant to 7DS. We've got. I don't know too much about Vengeance Academy and how they've kept together. I think they're using the same 5 players as they did against Hentai Haven last week. I definitely remember Ice and Craft. They did really well. In fact, I think 7DS may have snagged the perfect regular season, but lost to Inca in possibly the greatest best of 5 in VL playoffs. So 7DS, they've got that on their mind. They don't want to advance to Division 3 just on a scheduling glitch. They want to earn it their way, so anything that goes towards a perfect season will be great for them.
Yeah, it can't be too sad when you go out at the end of the split if it is an emotional banger of a series. Okay, we are done with the first round of bans. The side of Vengeance Academy have removed Bard, Vi, and Trundle, fearing those roaming picks, all of them capable of contributing to a team composition. Quite a large dynamic. Will we be wanting a Caitlyn after Fizz, Ornn, and Volibear taken away? Lots of hate for these sort of tanky, dynamic 5v5 picks.
Yeah, I can see Caitlyn going out of the way pretty quickly. Ezreal as well, played by both of our ED carries, could be on the table still, but obviously only for the side of 7DS at this point.
Yeah, Ezreal ban's normally a bit of a favorite in the early stage, so both teams opting out, interestingly enough.
Yeah, we've got a nice Caitlyn potential for Honest Sleep, so to play against the Caitlyn will be a good experience for him. Ornn also taken out, that's one of Somtha's best champions up in the top lane for Vengeance Academy. We've got a nice setup, though, coming out from 7DS in Jovan and Morgana.
That's a bit classic. That's a season 1 special. Get everyone sort of disrupted, or at least as close to the Cataclysm as you can. Push R and Morgana, bind the rest of them, hold them all together. Any sort of comeback or turnaround or disengage gets black shielded, and hopefully tons of damage and lots of dead opponents. It's not something you can argue with too much. It's not super complicated. Will be responded to with more complicated. Lee Sin complementing this Caitlyn's going to guarantee a pretty accelerated early game.
Yeah, and I think that fits in really well with Gekno's style, to be honest. Lee's one of his top picks, 2.7 KDA in solo queue with a 53% win rate. Gekno, I know him as a guy, he was on the NSK Academy team, that's my organization, for those who don't know, for a while. And he's egocentric, but in a good way. It's confidence rather than arrogance. He knows when he can go in and make a positive play and carry. So I think it's that sort of impetus he wants to push on Lee Sin. He can leave the late game to other members of his team. He just wants to secure early fights and make sure the early fighting is down to what he does.
A pretty golden star to have on your shoulder as a amateur competitive player. Making sure you have that dynamic down and you sort of make sure early games go your way and that you are setting up your team for the maximum number of good games that you actually want to play and keep going and have set up for is a really good mark. Ash will be the responsive from Seven Deadly Sins. Pretty high-powered bot lane has just received a nerf after a patch of complete dominance. We'll have to see how we go forwards from here. 7DS have to flex something for a solo lane on R4.
Yeah, Ash and Caitlyn coming in hot there. I'm interested to see that Serenika's gone for Thresh against Morgana. So Thresh hitting Morgana, who has the Black Shield, that will stop the initial pullback. Thresh can, of course, still follow up with the activated Q, if I'm reading that correctly. So
Yeah. So
it's not a
can
complete block to the ability, but it does sort of stop the CC element a lot.
So, an element of the Black Shield. It will stop all CC, however, abilities will still land. So, this means that things like, back in the day, the biggest example was Lee Sin's attack speed slow. You could wait for the Black Shield to fall off before applying the second part of your E, but that got removed a long time ago. Thresh can still ride the Morgana train if he does find the death sentence. The Thresh matchup gets more complicated here. The Morgana is definitely a counter in the ignorant side. So you can't just death sentence someone and just walk away. Walking into range of two people with flay up starts to make Morgana's life a lot more difficult. Either she has to hope that there isn't an EQ chain that she then, while is flayed, cannot black shield, or that she just picks the right person, or that the Thresh isn't willing to react after the flay does not hit the black shielded person and go for the obvious target. It does make Thresh's life harder, but not so much impossible.
Yeah, so we'll have more time to talk about that matchup and indeed the dynamic between all four players in the bot lane shortly. While that happened, Vengeance Academy on the blue side completed their draft, and the danger was that they had maybe too much damage and not enough CC or lockdown with three independent damage sources, Caitlyn, Lee Sin, and Zoe. I think that the final pick, which will go towards Somther in the top lane, that set, will go well to rounding out that comp. He's going to build fairly tanky after an initial burst of damage, and with Serenika's Thresh will be the brunt of CC for that team, trying to lock down enemy targets such that they can then get bubbled or completely destroyed by traps and Zoe Caitlyn damage.
Definitely. On the converse side, Seven Deadly Sins doing a bit of a season 3 classic, I think this one is, with the substitution of Ariana for Azir. Does mean that they have incredible setup, incredible backwards and forwards fighting. They can dive a backline, they can fight a front line. They have lots of options. They do have to make it work though. This sort of team composition can fall apart if people all aren't sure what they're doing. Is when you can do everything, you must all be on the same page for something. That's going to be where Seven Deadly Sins have to show their communication strength in this game and really show they can execute on something set up like this.
Yeah, you have got the poke options with a bit of Azir and Ash mid-range poke, but when you commit, when you're throwing everything in the fight towards a target, maybe the Caitlyn or the Zoe, you've got to go in with the Renekton ult, the Slice and Dice used offensively, the Jarvan EQ used offensively, Morgana actively going in to use the Soul Shackles. It is very much an all-or-nothing dice roll once you've gone in, such that you have to hit your target or you will be caught by the bounce back and the disengage front to backline control coming out from Vengeance Academy. And I think that's really the big contrast between the two teams. 7DS are looking to be the engage. They don't have too many disengage options because a lot of their abilities are one and done going in. And also, if they disengage, it's worth saying that Vengeance Academy have a lot of ways of chasing, harassing, and poking them. They've got the hooks, they've got the bubbles, an ace in the hole, or even some weird flanking maneuvers by Somther and Gekno. So it's important for Seven Deadly Sins that they get on Vengeance Academy's lineup as quickly as possible.
Definitely, that is the case. Often with Zoe compositions, the Vengeance Academy lineup can pick people out of like sort of lost in rotation between places, punish them before Seven Deadly Sins can react to that being out of place and start a fight. So we'll be looking to that, and it kind of matters a lot. Seven Deadly Sins have an incredible 1-3-1, 2-2-1, 1-4 in multiple configurations, and five-man death ball setups. The lane assignments here are so flexible. So many different ways it can work. It means if they get a little bit behind in the early game against this acceleration, there is always going to be hope. But then if it's not played exactly correctly, it is exactly where Vengeance want them to be. It is those poor rotations. It will be those poor lane assignments that then make it that little bit harder. And it's going to really give Vengeance the edge if they execute on that, or it's going to give Seven Deadly Sins a lot of tools to show how they can make this work. It's really a strong draft from both sides. I do on liking the side of Seven Deadly Sins a little more. I've just been watching some of the UKLC finals, and one of the compositions looks a lot like Vengeance's. It's reasonably well put together, but if it does not accelerate, it can run into some troubles. It can stall out against these more scaling carries that tend to have those higher ceilings that will be found later on.
Yeah, completely agree on all of that temporal. It's really a comp that works together. You pointed out that they have to hit their buttons and work synergetically, and it seems to me a little more combined as a composition rather than a lot of one and done coming out of Vengeance. So having seen these before, if there is a time bomb effect, I don't think either champions are specifically more scaling because
Yeah.
both junglers will sort of fall off. Both carries can scale well. The time bomb effect is really about whether the multitude of carries on blue side get ahead in advance. So
Hmm.
one thing we can look at as well, it's worth mentioning that while this is a Division 4 battle, the senior teams of both of the academy teams we're seeing take part now are actually contending for overall championship. So Seven Deadly Sins Senior and Vengeance Senior
Hmm.
are actually the two favorites at the moment, if you ask most people, to win the entirety of VL in Division 1. So one of the things I'd like to ask later, if we get the chance to interview someone, is how much coaching has come through and whether the team has benefited from being in an academy position rather than just a standalone Division 4 team.
So maybe a mini VL finals on our hands as the second game of the split for Div 4. I'm not arguing with that. We do have a pause coming out, a bit of a shame. I can't see exactly why, but here we are.
There we go. It shouldn't take too long to get us resumed. Nothing jumps out too hard on the masteries or the keystones coming out.
Oh, I think Hail of Blades is a little out of fashion craft. I think that one's a bit of a blast from the past.
And then, yeah, looking as well, you've got the summoner spells. We've got 2 teleports on the side of Vengeance Academy, which is interesting because they're going to try and split push, but also have a lot of solo carry threats. It means that Seven Deadly Sins Academy can really go out and try and out macro these guys.
It's going to be risky. That said, a Zoe teleport, not quite the same as a Set or a Renekton teleport. It's one of those different ones. It sets up for macro plays just as well, but it's not quite the run in, jump in, kill someone special.
Excellent. We'll see a lot more of that late game, I'm sure. Hopefully we are now synced up. Please stream alert us if we're not concurrent with the action that's on stream. It's looking good for me at the
Travis, I
moment.
love it when you can. I'm so sorry the viewers can't hear you. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, Trav's just given us those numbers in ascending order. Hopefully we'll be seeing similar dubs for one of these teams after a few games. Yeah, it's just a basic level 1 at the moment. 5 points, both junglers mid, and with both junglers being attack damage types with fairly quick attacks, they'll want to go for a clear. This could be interesting from Seven Deadly Sins.
I think splitting the map not the worst option here. It's a bit questionable. Neither should be full clearing. On this we can be certain.
Yeah, nice couple of wards going in, and Vengeance do get the reverse ward vision in the top side. It's a nice bit of information for both teams, and yeah, it looks like both Lee Sin and Jarvan are getting that double leash, starting on the red for Lee Sin, the blue for Jarvan, and we'll see if they can go for the 2 gank or the 3 gank. What do we think? I think we can safely say that Jarvan is more likely to 2 gank, but Lee could do it if he runs bot.
I think we've just seen it sort of go awry on Jarvan here. You can definitely just get like a first buff run to middle and make someone very unhappy. It's one of my favorite things to do if I want to upset one of my friends in a custom game. It's just, oh, I'm level 2 on Jarvan.
Yeah,
I'm going to
there's
say
only
hi
one
now.
more cursed level 2 gank, and that is the Twitch. But we'll hopefully see that one in game 2, as both junglers just set up to clear, and Lee Sin's going for the second major buff, whereas Ice is doing a full clear on his bot side jungle. That'll give Lee Sin the position, and it looks like the health trade for a top side gank more quickly.
So more of an asymmetry of the map. Both of these junglers do prefer killing the single target camps with their machetes. Bit of a trade in the top side. Does see Joe gain Fury, but goes down a little bit of health to Sova. It's quite even. He'll be looking to use that Fury to gain the next trade a lot more favorably. Just
okay,
like
so
that.
with the Cloud Drake up, it looks like neither jungler's going for prio at the moment. It's still 2 minutes to spawn. Both going for top lane right now. Some for low health.
He goes low, press the attack has been popped, but here's Gekno, a quick dash in. Means Motojo's just gonna go off that for a second. Dark Binding lands in the bottom lane. Ash is firing away. Nothing will come of it at this stage, but Sleep managing to get some damage in. We're still going. Gekno finds it. The flag and drag not completed for Icy Arrow. Motojo is there. A whole lot of action, but no one on the board just yet.
Yeah, we'll see if anything resumes in the top lane though.
Okay, Joe taking a bit of a question way back into the lane. It does pop the press the attack, but a little too much. Somther will haymaker his first way onto the scoreboard.
Yeah, Vengeance Academy taking that early lead and a 500 gold across the map. Great job for Somther set and backed up by Gekno's Lee Sin. I like that both of them drew the flashes from their opponents. You could see that Motojo had the better health trade but wanted to make things safe. You can also look at little mechanical things like Ice Arrow's EQ, but I think the biggest macro choice was getting out after being on low health and using both flashes. That death was avoidable, but that's sometimes the situation in Div 4. Gekno going again top.
I think Joe maybe just had a moment where he was like, oh, actually, you know, I think I'm just going to relax back into the lane, get back into the 1v1, but unfortunately Gekno's still there. Still causing some struggle. Good job, Raging Platypus, picking up a redemption at this stage in the game. Channeling his inner Showmaker. Really makes playing Zoe just that little bit sweeter.
Oh man, reminding me of the Nogari's Spellbinder up in the top lane now. We've got Lee Sin going for bot side, and it was actually a quick crab take from Ice Arrow, so just getting a little bit of jungle presence, even though he got sort of taken out of agency in the top lane. Lee Sin will recall for his tier 2 jungle item at the moment, so apart from solo kills, both junglers getting a chance to reassess macro.
Yeah, just getting on the board a huge face breaker in the top lane into a haymaker, and Somther has just found Joe again. Unfortunate fight in the minion wave, but really does go Somther's way.
Yeah, it's those sort of things which really put paid to your plans. If you're looking for macro, talking about lane swaps or going for a Drake, and then suddenly a solo kill happens. Motojo, without his flash, Somther still has flash advantage, just the mobility of Set's Q, the CC of the E. It's a really nice matchup at the moment. And with 800 gold in his pocket, he's going to be building offensively now. I suspect he'll be going for the Blade of the Ruin King just to assert dominance.
Okay, I hope it's the Trinity Force after, and no Black Cleaver Sinners in Valence League, please. You're all far above it. Level 6 in the mid lane here for Craft, so this will be up for the next objective. It could look to pressure Platypus here, and Icy Arrow is nearby.
Yeah, I like the way both of the junglers are positioned at the moment. They're both sort of symmetrical on the map as Ice goes for another camp. Gekno's in a really good position to gank at the moment, but Craft, he's got the cleanse, he's got level 6, and he's playing very far back with his E up, so really a difficult gank target, even if Lee Sin were level 6.
Okay. It's always good to try and deny that level 6 Lee Sin special. It comes through just before a major objective, because, you know, if he can't control it the Sejuani way, he can control it the mid lane as your dead way. Another face breaker in the top lane. Joe trading more lightly, but I think that's probably the right thing to do at this stage.
Yeah, Somther can take a lot of damage, and here comes another fight.
Bilgewater Cutlass, that will be the huge drop in from Somther. It's close. Joe does have Fury. Does he have cooldowns? Not this time. Somther with a quick 1-2 at the end with his empowered Q will find the third kill onto Joe.
Yeah, can anyone say top diff? I mean, no Ignite at the moment, because both top laners have run Teleport. Motojo could have done with a last-second heal, but I think he'd already used his Reign of Anger empowered ability. Somther with the low health regeneration, weaving the passive auto-attacks, and with the advantage he already had so far with the Cutlass, he was really excelling even on those clutch low health fights. So, gonna excel further. Let's look mid.
Bubble has landed, but the Black Shield denies. Craft being slowed down. Flash out from Gekno is really important. Icy Arrow taking that one away with a quick flag and drag. Advantage 7 Deadly Sins on towards this dragon. They do have the priority. They've left Honest Sleep in the bottom lane where they're not quite perfectly positioned, but they have members near the middle lane, which is pushed in. They are going to peel back for now.
Yeah, as a support player myself, I really have to salute the ward control coming through from 7 Deadly Sins. I mean, they're losing a lot in the top lane at the moment just through gold, but Ice is a jungler who's known primarily for his early game dragon control, playing Jarvan Vi, that sort of bruiser who can make statements on the map. And while he hasn't had the agency to do so because of Gekno's advance, interrupting.
Oh, Joe going so low. Flashes out from the Haymaker. When all the abilities are called punches, I just get so confused. But definitely not giving some to the fourth and staying even in CS. So I think Joe probably has found his way back into this lane. He just needs to chill out, avoid the all-ins until he gets into true Wizard Lizard mode. And should be able to look for those again. Renekton does have the advantage up there in the 1v1 towards the later stages. The empowered abilities coping so well with Set's trading pattern. But it looks like he's having hardware issues on the top lane, which might explain some of what's been going on. Going to take a quick pause to figure those ones out.
Yeah, that awkward moment when you flash so hard that it breaks your computer's CPU. It's rarely seen, but there we go. He's just going to get a quick restart off. So yeah, we can start to look at the bot lane, because when we've looked at the macro, the vision, how the general map's been going on, it seems to be interrupted by a really nice series of Hitmonchan Simulator versus Crocodile Rock up in the top lane. So we've got a nice little gold lead, but at the moment it's nearly all on Set, 1.1k on Set versus 1.2k overall. And Vengeance Academy, they've got to try and translate that into the rest of the map. Gekno forced to flash by Chime's advanced positioning near the mid lane. It's really good to see this from Seven Deadly Sins. They're putting people down the bot lane such that even if they can't take the Drake, they're going to try and stop Vengeance Academy from taking the Drake. And at this point, it's about power spikes. They need everyone to get their ultimates ready. I think if they can get a bot level 6 spike, they've got it on Ashe. I think the Soul Shackles on Morgana would be an excellent way to make a fight in the pit swing into their favor. It's really going to be interesting to see which way it tips.
Maybe a consequence of leaving Ashe down there alone in the bottom lane. No level 6 is through for Franklin and Serenica yet. So even if Chime's not there either, matching at the level 5, Sleep could be the difference in this next fight. Importantly, you can't black Shield and Ashe Arrow if you're on the same team. So Franklin and Serenica slightly vulnerable down there at the moment, and more members of Seven Deadly Sins looking to come on down. Joe does have the option to move towards this bottom lane, sacrifice a few plates, but set up the tempo play. We are looking to unpause at the moment. Might not be very long, though.
Yeah, we call this the test unpause. This is a draft phase. We'll see if this goes straight back in. Okay, we're good.
Right.
So we're in full resumption of this game. We're at 8.5 minutes. Currently a massive top diff lead for Vengeance Academy, but Seven Deadly Sins, they aren't willing to give the map away yet. Both junglers in the bottom half, Ice with flash advantage and with level 6 advantage, neither with their full jungle item yet, with a lot of gold in both junglers' pockets. Big engage bot.
Shield manages to connect on into a dark binding. Franklin loses half of their health, but Honest Sleep, pushed back this time, will not be found. Just a bit of advantage in the bottom lane, but Kraft is out of mana in middle.
Yeah, a lot of damage coming through from the paddle start as well. Jarvan really trying to make an impact, and with Lee Sin not there, it's really good to see Franklin and Serenica play back, absorb the Ashe Arrow, and just take the damage while still remaining relevant. Jarvan going for Zoe maybe, but this time just controlling wards.
Just going to grab the wards this time. Platypus does contest. I think Kraft, without his lost chapter, is going to struggle to stay in position here middle. I think if Gekno comes on down, causes him to have to burn more and more mana, there is going to be a bit of struggle, but he's
Ice is in. And right back out again. They're just looking for vision, but that's a bubble. More damage coming in.
Just find it onto Icy Arrow. There'll be 80% of the health. Emperor's Divide going just wide. Platypus is having a great time. The Flag Andrak does connect with a beautiful flash. Cataclysm doesn't quite find Platypus, who's flashing away. It's a backwards and forwards. Flashes everywhere.
Yeah, both mid laners flashing. It was unfortunate, to say the least, for Seven Deadly Sins. They had the Jarvan Cataclysm ult damage go wide, the area of effect not work too well, and then the wall, the Emperor's Divide, not working too well from Kraft. So, bit of a nightmare for them. As a result, they're going to give away a lot of presents top. Gekno with the active, proactive call to take the Rift Herald. So they're going to take that first one of the game, look for tower pressure top.
A reasonably good time to cross map. It does opt you into the other Rift Herald timing, where you can throw this one a bot lane right now and then take a free dragon if he feels so inclined. It will be interesting to see if he's going for it. Is walking on down here to the other side of the map.
And yeah, that's really good there from Gekno. It's important to spot what's happening on the other half of the map, and as a jungler, you've either got to make plays to try and counter gank, or make plays across. That's the core of being a jungler. He went for the horizontal option, and it's worked out really well thanks to what I'm going to call Flashfest 2020 in the mid lane. With Cloud Break up, Gekno is wise to, as you've said, Temporal, try and use the Rift Herald to generate pressure. Ice is actually up in top lane. This could be good.
Buy your ticket. Somtha has a Cutlass Mojo. It does take him quite low. Icy Arrow here to defend. Somtha will peace out this time. Keep his 2-level advantage. We're all going to cool off here as Gekno just chilling out on that south side of the map. We're going to wait for the bot lane to return. The next act will be on stage in about 20 seconds.
Jin, curtain call on the sidelines there. Yeah, Ice Arrow wanting to get some presence. He tried it bot with a gank about a minute and a half ago. He wanted to do it top just then. May try and combine with Joe, but both top laners don't have their spikes, and they may just be an ult off. Somtha still with a big advantage, though. It's going to be a collapse near Morgana mid for Vengeance Academy, but they're just going to try and hold river control, and they're going to look for what is still the first streak of the game at the 12-minute mark. A lot of presence right now.
Alright, Platypus is throwing summoners in mid lane, trying to get every advantage over the freshly based craft. Franklin and Serenica have started that one up. Joe takes a bit of a negative trade in the top lane. Unfortunately, the wizard will have to go back and hide in the desert. Heat up his blood again. I don't know, these biology references are getting real sketchy, Kraden. Zoe looking for something middle.
Yeah, definitely trying to fire paddle stars with every opportunity. That's a lot of damage there. Phil Swift getting his flex tape ready. So yeah, Zoe coming in. Gekno available with some damage, but they're just going to force Craft out of that tower. Let's see if bot lane play works.
Surprise! Here comes Chimebright. Bubble does land in the middle. Cleanse will get that one off, but Gekno will find it anyway. Icy Arrow here back on the defense. We'll go low to the Cataclysm. Teleport used in the top lane from Somtha down to join this fight in the bottom. Unfortunately, Franklin and Serenica not able to truly turn that one around. Slightly disadvantaged now. Do hold their fort.
Absolutely loving Gekno's play there, by the way. Great kick and great shield out of there. He seemed like he was done, and I love Ice Arrow's reaction. But Gekno just showed the macro there. Getting out of there on Lee Sin. Pressing those buttons quickly. He has played this champion before.
Definitely really impressive micro to know and execute what I thought was a pretty doomed assassination under the tower. Craft will be a little upset with that one, losing your cleanser going down anyway. Not really what you want on the Zoe Azir matchup if you've chosen that cleanse. Franklin, it's like a little close to the sun.
Yeah, definitely playing with a lot of cojones right now, but he can because Gekno's Lee Sin. He's 1-0-1, is nearby, has the completed Jungle Warrior enchantment, and he's going to get his support to clear the wards for him. With Ice Arrow on the other side, this could actually set up into an interesting 3v3. By the way, I think both Ice and the bot lane, all three players for 7 Deadly Sins, recalled within 2 seconds of each other. That's a nice little sync we've got there. They're looking for a reset and checking the timers. I don't see what it's for. I think they're just looking for coordinated back and to come at them together with ults.
I think it's just going to be a tempo reset. Make sure you've got enough vision to start the cycle of contesting for this Ocean Dragon. Ocean Dragon on 2, the weakest of all Ocean Dragons, except the one that doesn't exist, which is my personal favorite. As it won't help you through that early laning phase, it won't contribute to a ridiculous soul. It'll just, a bit of health regen. Why not?
Yeah, we take those. I mean, we don't have like a ridiculous healing champion like Vladimir or Aatrox in the game, so there is some merit to the Ocean Drake on all of our champions. But yeah, we're really looking for that Infernal or Mountain Soul coming up after the second dragon. And yeah, with both teams, they can definitely fight mid-game. They've got scaling as well. We said in pre-game that it's a lot down to execution and single target versus AoE rather than a particularly scaling comp. We'll see if the side of 7 Deadly Sins can shut down Somtha here, though. They've got Ice waiting to gank. He's got his ult. Motojo has his. They're just looking for the opportunity. As Ice waits in the Tri-Brush, they want to burn Somtha's abilities. Joe's got a really difficult bait job on his hands. But right now, Gekno's in the area. That opportunity's gone.
All right, we're gonna dangle the lizard on the end of the fishing rod anyway. I think I really liked sort of the comparisons off there. We do have the exquisite play through lane 7 Deadly Sins competition going on here, and the play to picks and play to aggression out from Vengeance. It is really a not so much David versus Goliath, but very much a Titan versus Colossus. It's gonna be a Close matchup. Hook goes wide. Serenica just making me take a sharp intake of breath. Getting ready. Blade of the Rune King out on top lane. Joe is on the fishing rod. He hasn't gone huge. Gekno desynchronizing with Somtha. And Icy Arrow is here to try and make the most of it. Gets flipped backwards back to his own safety at his tower. That will be a bit of a chill out, but here comes Platypus on the side.
Like potential.
Oh, finds a huge pedal star. Icy Arrow, moments from death. We'll find that one back. Joe trying to get aggro onto his opponents under his tower, but it's not going to work out. The true damage Haymaker and Gekno's auto takes him down just so low. A fantastically executed dive backwards and forwards from Vengeance do mean they now have priority onto the Rift Herald.
Yeah, just to clarify for our viewers, the reason why Vengeance Academy won that skirmish was not because of the anti-synergy between the Haymaker and the Lee Sin kick. It was because they brought more numbers, Platypus roamed faster than Kraft, and there was a massive gold lead. Looking bot!
Here comes the Morgana train. You spoke of it, Cradden. Serenica going straight in there. The Ignite down does mean that it's going to be a close fight until Honest Sleep goes that little bit lower. Franklin winning out this time. Burns heal for his trouble, but Honest Sleep now without all of his summoner spells. In the mid lane, Kraft and Platypus having a bit of a slap fest, but Zoe's damage so inconsistent. Paddlestar going wide means Kraft likely comes out ahead this time, even if he's still behind on mana.
I think we've finally found the builder of the Leaning Tower of Pisa with the integrity of those walls coming in from Kraft's ear. He's unfortunately had a few bad ones, and they've been on single targets as well. He has the chance to redeem himself late game, but yeah, I love the scrappiness of the gamers. We've had fights in all three lanes within the last 45 seconds. Vengeance Academy, they're in the driving seat. They've got a 3.5k lead, and once again, Gekno's seen the opportunity and the priority. They've taken the second Drake of the game, which is an Ocean. That's going to create a Mountain Rift, so can create a lot of tankiness for both teams by increasing their armor and magic resist. The Mountain Soul is also on the table, which gives players an out-of-combat big shield, which is great for those squishy champions on both sides. Gekno lying in wait here, looking for a potential ambush opportunity, but 7DS are sticking together well. They're not really offering a pick opportunity at the moment.
So looking for those poor rotations. Serenica will find Honest Sleep through the wall. Black Shield be damned. And Gekno will follow that one up in sec backwards. Stylish fingers will mean that with a little bit of a delay, Honest Sleep will go down there. Picked off fantastically from Serenica and Gekno.
I'm not even sure Gekno needed to do that, but I think knowing the guy, he knew that he was on stream and just wanted to pull that off on the directed camera. To be fair, it was worth it. It looked really good, and without knowing where Ice Arrow was, securing the kills is never something you can criticize. It's going to be pretty difficult for 7DS to defend this Rift Herald. It's going to break that outer turret, and with Platypus roaming down, they're going to have a 4-man push to send the Herald into the second turret. Chime looking like a juicy target right now on that Morg.
Gekno and Platypus are here for the Haymaker play. They will look to get under this tower, or at least stop the contest of Rift Herald, or I think they've gone for blue buff. Directed camera betraying me a little here. Motojo will be teleporting in to defend this one. That means that we will have a neutralization here from Vengeance on this bottom side. May look to swap it back over now. They have a few minutes if they wish to try and stop any sort of early Baron or early Vision onto the top side from Vengeance.
Yeah, the downside of this one, of course, is that by sending all 5 players to the bottom lane to defend from the Rift Herald, they've effectively just handed the top outer turret on the red side to Somtha, who, with 3 kills from the early game, is not a guy you want to be feeding as we approach this mid-game. The Showstopper is going to be really powerful, and I think it's going to be the Triforce. It could go either way with a Phage in his item build.
It better be Triforce. No pressure, Somtha. Yeah, I think it's going to be really hard to side lane against Somtha's set, but I think it is manageable. 7 Deadly Sins can send Kraft to that lane. It means Joe's going to have to try and play into the Platypus, and that cleanse goes a little bit less useful, but I think it is not beyond the realms of possibility. Platypus looking to pick up the blue buff. Continue to be that presence in mid lane. I think we should probably see Serenica and Flankman moving around the map. We'll see which lane assignments come out here from Vengeance as they look to continue to push their lead.
Yeah, the safer move, as always in these situations, is to send the bot lane mid, do a 1-3-1 sort of thing. And with 2 teleports versus the 1, In favor of Vengeance Academy, it's much easier for them to do the 1-3-1 and send both teleports into the mid lane. The danger, of course, is that Set can absorb ganks very well. Zoe less so. She doesn't really have a dedicated escape, more a jump back. Vengeance won't be worried about that as they barrel towards the mid and the enemy top jungle. A lot of damage coming through.
Oh, even with the black shield on, it's not enough. Franklin converts that one over, and Platypus effectively finds Chime Bright, the Cataclysm back over. Icy Arrow goes straight down, unable to convert onto Platypus. A huge QR. Franklin makes it 3 in quick succession, and a huge Emperor's Divide does find the final kill back onto Platypus. Flash Cleanse will get Craft out of there. A huge investment just for one. They do get the bounty back, but we're still going. A huge showstopper in the top lane. Joe shoved backwards, and Gekno makes it 4 in quick succession.
VL does not yet do replays, but I want to see that the Set E Facebreaker pulled the enemy Renekton into the Lee Sin queue. Whether that's intentional or not, that's just beautiful to watch. I love it, and it's almost Flash Predict level. Yeah, I also love the triple kill from Franklin in the mid lane, and Kraft did get a wall, had to burn both summoners, but did get a return kill and shut down a Raging Platypus's Zoe. So a couple of bright signs for 7 Deadly Sins on the red side. They're coordinating fairly well, but even for a team that's meant to be a lot of different isolated carries, the synergy between Gekno and Somtha, it's going to be difficult to top that this game. And the team are 7.3k ahead. They've got a 4-0 monopoly on turrets. And with the third Drake, the first Mountain Drake of the game coming up soon, 7 Deadly Sins are going to be putting heavy priority on stemming the bleeding by getting something out of this Drake.
If anything, the hidden takeaway from that fight is Kraft can relax. You know, it's not just bad luck today. He can still get those huge Emperor's Divides when he needs to. He just needs to relax back into his role, chill out for a moment. Serenica just eating the Dark Binding there for a moment. But yeah, Kraft did manage to make the difference in that fight, even if he took to invest a lot. Now, with the Mountain Dragon starting up here, this is a pretty key moment for 7 Deadly Sins. If they can't get in here, they are forced to get in next time.
Yeah, the presence exerted by Vengeance Academy is just too great. They've got so much deterrence. They have a team who can rotate very well. Lee could be going in here.
A huge Enchanted Crystal Arrow will find Gekno. A little bit of overextension punished here. 7 Deadly Sins say no. You're not allowed to sin quite this time. Raging Platypus does find some damage back onto Joe, but it is pretty superficial. He's headed back up into that top lane.
Yeah, more importantly drawn there, I think, is Chime's Flash, because Morgana, with the Zhonya's Hourglass still being built, that engage could be really devastating in fights. She's forced to sort of counter-engage at the moment, as 7 Deadly Sins just look for wave clear, but can't stop the inner turret going down.
Continuing to blow their leads forwards for each dragon. They've picked up a tower or more off the back of it immediately. Franklin is a bit of a tower-destroying machine with that Storm Razor built up there. They are looking to continue pushing this one through. They don't want to hit the Caitlyn power trough. We'll have to see if Franklin's on that new build. I think any fans of Freaks patch notes in the chat will know. The current argument and discussion is a third item BF Sword into Essence Reaver for maximum sheet DPS. And it does tend to apply in real life quite frequently, but the traditional build does normally look towards a Zeal. Or some attack speed, and Franklin picking up the dagger does suggest he's going that way. We'll have to see if he makes a quick pivot into the Essence Reaver.
And yeah, for those of you in chat who got completely sidetracked by Temporal's amazing theory crafting, you said in real life, and I've now got a picture of Freak running around with a model BF sword down the street. So
Tons
yeah,
of damage!
You can just see that in your mind. Thank you. You're welcome for the mental images, guys. Yeah, 7 Deadly Sins having a tough time. Builds can efficiently improve damage, but they've really got to focus on their coordination at the moment. They really coordinated well to take down Gekno as he tried to make his latest monster play in the mid lane. And it's that sort of thing, single picks, taking down single carry targets like Franklin, Gekno, Platypus, and to be honest, Somtha qualifies at the moment with his farm, bounty, and high damage build. They've just got to get them quickly because time is running out. The fourth Drake for Vengeance Academy is up in 2.5 minutes, and there's turret pressure in all lanes. So it's really down to Ice's calling, and really down to how well 7DS can collapse or take a Baron fight.
Something continuing to make Joe's life a little bit miserable down there on the bottom side. He's stuck under his T2 tower, which is pretty good. It's pretty easy to lose a T2 tower these days. They are made of cardboard. compared to previous seasons. Honestly, doing a great job in the mid lane, and Enchanted Crystal Arrow goes out. Black Dark Binding onto the Thresh. So Renica will go down in quick succession. Chimebright pays for it with their life, though. Franklin is back in, but Joe has found them in the middle. Will be kicked backwards. Huge Cataclysm and flash forwards from sleep. They have found Franklin. They've made it. Poor Gekno will also go down. That is what 7 Deadly Sins need at this stage in the game.
Massive kills coming out. They got 3 members of Vengeance Academy down, and it looked like they weren't initially. There was huge damage coming out of Platypus, and look at the massive catch and damage from Lee Sin and Thresh. Somtha was a bit late coming back into that fight, and that 5 versus 4 element could have been crucial. And against all odds, Ice was able to lead in on Motor Joe's engage, caught out Franklin's flash, and Honest Sleep was backing them up. And at this point, they've got to protect their AD carry, who has 2.5 items, who has 5 kills after the 2 just picked up there, I believe, and really is starting to become a win condition for the red side, who are heavily embattled.
Cannot argue with the Ash win condition. Do I stand okay, Cradon? After that last one and shredding my throat a little, I've moved to the upstairs position. I'm standing over a desk playing League of Legends. We can all cosplay, I suppose, if I wanted to be a real caster. I suppose this would how it would be done. It feels very weird. Please take it away.
Yeah, as long as you have a huge Ethernet cable and a constant supply of throat lozenges, play-by-play casting is your thing. And it looks like we've got a few more throat rippers coming up with a few fights around the Soul Drake, or possibly the Soul Drake for Vengeance Academy, coming up in 30 seconds. Ults available on both sides, although Zoe with a teleport can't afford to be up here, taking the blue buff and generating pressure on the opposite side of the map. A late reset is going to cause a bit of an interesting dynamic.
A huge kudos to whoever on 7 Deadly Sins called that last engage. Really working out fantastically for Honest Sleep. It's a shame Chime went down quite so quickly, but with the Zhonya's not far away, that shouldn't be a consideration for long. Honest Sleep continuing to scale. Dark Binding a little bit early, won't interrupt Platypus here. And Gekno makes sure Chime pays for it. Huge QSS. He's living for now, but unfortunately Gekno makes sure Sleep can't continue on this one. Craft a little late on the Emperor's Divide. Falling away. Icy Arrow unable to escape with his teammates. Vengeance, they swipe back rapidly. That will be the Mountain Soul.
Yeah, 4 Drakes in 28 minutes. It was slow to start, but they got the 4-0 Drake shutout rolling eventually. And after capitalizing on Chimebright's teleport interrupt, we're going to have Honest Sleep just rolled down by most of the team. Gekno and Somtha leading the charge, but you can't ignore Platypus firing off damage. This Mountain Drake is going to be huge, and that's before you look at the fact that Vengeance Academy are looking at the Baron. They've got shields on all champions out of combat. It's going to make the Caitlyn, the Zoe, and the Set that much harder to kill. It's going to be really interesting to see what 7 Deadly Sins do here. Baron is below half health. 7 Deadly Sins just getting a ward on it. They have to throw people on it last second.
Continuing tempo here forwards. The death sentence has landed, but I think... Oh, never mind. Vengeance can chill out, but Gekno wants one of that. None of that. It's style points o'clock. Craft goes low. Chimebright eats the unfortunate Sleepy Trouble Bubble and will pay for it. That will be a Baron and 1. Complete 100% objective dominance here from Vengeance as they continue to sweep through. They're going to look for the inhibitor tower.
Yeah, Heralds, Dragons, Barons, they're just going to take them, and they're against no slouches. They're against 7 Deadly Sins, who were finalists last season. They've got a really nice roster of very competent players. They've just made it very difficult for them to have any agency, and that's testament to how well Vengeance Academy have played this lane. Can they finish, though? They're around the base, they've got Baron, and they're taking inhibs right now.
Platypus is fishing for those trouble bubbles, but with this huge Baron-empowered minion wave behind them, they do get through onto the inhibitor with a rotation promise to something in the top lane. Enchanted Crystal Arrow goes down. They found Franklin. It's not going to work out quite the way they want. The trouble bubble onto Icy Arrow, not capitalized. Somtha off at the side. Haymaker used early for not much conversion, even if Chimebright is low. Platypus still fishing, unable to find anything. This position is getting slightly unsustainable here for Vengeance. Few minions remain. Even with the Mountain Soul, they will not be able to stay healthy forever if they keep trying to chip away at these towers.
Yeah, a couple of rotations coming through. Morgana getting the back end, finding it very difficult to defend, but the Baron buff is really strong for Vengeance Academy. They're looking for picks. Jarvan in.
Jarvan has found the way in. Cataclysm does get Platypus out of there. A huge showstopper in from Somtha, a little too late. Icy Arrow living forever. Summoner Heal on his sleep, keeping him alive just in time. Gekno starting to feel that Ash scaling as he falls off the cliff. Will go straight down. That position made untenable now. 7 Deadly Sins can get back out onto the map. There's not a whole lot going on for the next 3 minutes, though.
Yeah, you can argue, just as we did Temple, that Vengeance Academy kept that push going for too long. Sure, they had Baron and took a tower, but it meant that 7 Deadly Sins could get the health regen going off. They could get the items gold reset from coming out of the fountain. But I think most importantly, I'm going to call out my fellow support player, Chime Bright, for catching out Franklin with a flash binding at the start of that fight. I'd love to be able to have replays for that. Just we're going to see that replay posted into chat later by Chime. Chime, if you're watching this, great binding, mate. Just post it everywhere.
If you guys want to clip it in Twitch chat, and I do believe you can either send those to official Valence League Twitter, or I think they might be postable in chat. I'm not sure exactly on the rules we have there on Modbot.
Okay, big breath time.
Big breath
31
time.
minutes in. It's 4 drakes to 0.
7 Deadly Sins just got an objective, by the way. They're in.
Yeah, that's...
They got one. They got one. Have some money back. The gold lead not quite as expansive as it was when the Baron started. And of course, Honest Sleep continuing to scale on the Ash could be a threat.
And that's big, actually. The gold lead, I think, was 8k at its widest. It's now only 5k. Gold lead, absolute differences, meaning less and less as the game continues. We're starting to get more and more damage onto our main carries for 7 Deadly Sins. And Ash is only, I think, 500 gold away from that third item, Infinity Edge. So just all of the golden XP going over to Honest Sleep's Ash. It can really give them nice, consistent damage. Morgana has the Zhonya's Hourglass. That and the ult is a core part of her kit. This is actually really hype when considering it's a game 1 in a best of 3. 7 Deadly Sins, I would have counted them out about 10 minutes earlier. But right now, every game is winnable, and if they show the consistency and coordination that they've shown in the last few fights, they can really have a good shot at holding this out here, at trying to stop the massive burst damage coming out from Vengeance and their engagers.
So while these T2s will go down, never mind, Enchanted Crystal Arrow, Flash, Flag, and Drag, they've blocked the Lantern, they've dragged him back! Franklin eats a Sand Soldier Knuckle Sandwich. Somtha has been slowed, but looks like he is away. Energized 4 now. Haymaker's a little early, and Icy Arrow says, thank you very much. You stay right there. Picks out. That is more gold back over. 7 Deadly Sins have managed to stay in this one. That gold lead shrinking as they continue to look for more. With 1 minute on Elder, this is priority and vision for a team that previously had 0% objective control.
That's massive engage as well. They take out 2 targets, but Lee could have something else to say here.
No, it doesn't quite enable his Lee syndrome there. Pings onto the Nexus Towers. 7 Deadly Sins are bleeding in the base. One advantage of losing your inhibitor is you can farm those much richer creeps for that little time, but unfortunately they do eventually win the game themselves. It's left unchecked. The pick looks to be coming through.
Yeah, Ice almost connecting there. And yeah, the advantage they've got is by sending Motojo's teleport into the bot lane for those 2 crucial picks. They now don't have a way to quickly get Motojo from the mid lane, where he's currently killing creeps, into the Elder Dragon fight. Elder spawning in the next 5 seconds, by the way. Surely
importantly,
the win.
Those are the last super minions. That lane will now equalize in the middle of the map. So it will be on Vengeance to try and make that a problem again.
Yeah, the pressure isn't really on either team unless we see a weird backdoor attempt with Zoe's teleport. Ice Arrow just needs to get his team around him, and we need to see a great coordinated attempt like we did in the bot lane. It's tough because of Vengeance Academy's lead. Here comes the arrow. Enchanted
Crystal Arrow finds Franklin once again, once too many times, goes straight down on his sleep. Flashes away, he's just going to live in the back line. That is a huge sweep. 3 go down. 7 Deadly Sins have done it.
They haven't quite done it yet. Lee Sin and Zoe are still alive. They've got damage. Elder Dragon is halfway down. Zoe throwing out paddle stars and Morgana's down. Elder Dragon low. Lee looking for the steal at 2k health.
Here comes Gekno in, and he's in onto the pit. It's a coin flip, but Icy Arrow is there this time. The buff comes down, and a blast onto Gekno means that 7 Deadly Sins have found the Elder Dragon.
against all odds, we counted them out on the objective control. They had nothing 5 minutes ago. They're now equalized the gold lead. They've got defenses up. All of their inhibitors have respawned, and they didn't take the elemental drakes. Well, they didn't need them. They've got the Elder Dragon and the execute potential. They're going to go on a field day with objectives and turn this into a Baron. At 30 minutes, you would have called this game over. At 36, 7 Deadly Sins are now going to be the favorites in this game 1.
Plenty of Baron damage. Ashe can provide all of that pretty much on her own, even without the Azir, who should be finishing up his death cap now. That is a huge spike. Icy Arrow finds his Spirit Visage. He will take a lot less damage from the Zoe poke. It is, oh man, it's all coming together for 7 Deadly Sins. Why play the game for the first 30 if you could just play it at 35?
Yeah, and something that's really enabled them at the moment, we talked about it through pre-game, through draft, the way their comp works together. Ice has been at the forefront of all of these picks. His EQ, R engages, has really set up the rest of the team to go in with the Ash Arrows. Chime's bindings have been on fleek in the last few minutes, just catching out Franklin. And the way that 7DS stopped Franklin from getting to the Lantern in the bot lane, Somther even used his teleport on it, and it still couldn't be picked up by Franklin, who was taken out of the way by a wall, by a binding. 7 Deadly Sins just take down the carries initially, and it's going to stop Vengeance from being able to fight. I love the way they've turned this around, and it will make for a great story if they complete this. They're pushing down the mid lane with Elder running out and Baron available. I think Elder with less than a minute to go.
Less than a minute to go. We'll have to see what they can make of it. In fact, is it timing out now, or is it... no, we've got 60 seconds more. Okay, 7 Deadly Sins now have to make this worth it. The GA onto Franklin does mean they might have to kill him twice. Not the biggest struggle. It's not the QSS to stop the Enchanted Crystal Arrow that they should really be fearing. It's a bit of backwards and forwards. They do have Joe with his teleport coming up in the bottom lane. That should look to be the play onto middle. They're not quite in with the wave.
Yep, second turret down. Thresh is isolated and taken out quickly.
Oh, sorry, I'm interrupting.
You don't get a chance to speak play-by-play faster on that one.
It's too quick.
We're going for an inhib now. They're going to have to save all of their pick abilities for the next few champions. As Zoe tries her best.
Huge paddle star and a follow-up from Franklin. He will fall to it. His GA procs, but Chime Bright not so lucky. Huge Cataclysm. Icy Arrow is in, but cannot convert it on his own. That will be another one for Franklin. The Avengers Academy are biting back, striking back. Motojo going oh so low into this tower. It looks to be a 5-for-1 sweep. GA's procs on both sides. The Vengeance punish a little bit of an overextension from 7 Deadly Sins.
5-for-1 it is. This game is crazy. There've been inhibitors down at both ends. 7 Deadly Sins, they had the Elder Dragon buff, they had the Baron buff. They were piling it down, and they just took that extra step. They couldn't take down Franklin, and Ice under both Nexus turrets got trapped. When he looked around for team members, all he saw was the Shadow Realm. And this is going to be really interesting for Vengeance. A big fake Zoe flash catching me off guard there. As they have to go for the inhibs now. Only 10 seconds, 15 seconds until 3 members of 7 Deadly Sins spawn. The only thing they can go for is the inhib. It's still 2 minutes to Elder Dragon, 3 minutes to Baron. They could still barrel down, but it's going to be the double inhib focus as 4 members are live from the red team.
Okay, I think I'd have personally gone for the top there from the side of Vengeance. You want to create that dissonance between the lanes, get people moving around, get them vulnerable to Zoe and Lee Sin. That would maybe be a little more advantageous than something a little more balanced in the middle. Although it means someone has to be there, so they now have elucidated their target. Azir moving down will pick up this blue buff, means he'll be out for a few seconds. Platypus will do the same on the other side. Lane assignments coming through. Joe joining the group here, not willing to risk any side lane pushing. If Chime Bright finds that level 16 soon, this will likely be the way that 7 Deadly Sins look to play this game through. They will go for another similar fight. Hopefully not going with Ice and the boys under the Nexus towers a little bit too far. Franklin's GA pops does mean that that defense is down for a little bit longer. It's not like the QSS, which can be used when you need it. It's going to be the struggle here. Both teams looking quite strong. It's going to be a matter of execution at this late stage.
Yeah, great shout from Centurion in the chat, by the way. GA is down on Franklin, so we're going to have, I believe it's a 5-minute cooldown in total. In the next 2.5 minutes, which includes the Elder fight, a lot of presence available. The flash is up on both AD carries. It is really a game of whether Caitlyn or Ashe can be taken out first. That's going to decide a lot of these fights.
I
And
really do like Sleep's quick purchase here. Have you noticed?
ooh, the little stopwatch, the
Just
time trick.
40-minute special. They were ticking up to the hour. And in addition to the flash, having that available just for one fight, definitely worth the price you have to pay.
Love that fresh positioning, by the way. Yeah, you just if the one catch is met by Ash going gold and dodging it, that's instantly worth it for 7 Deadly Sins. Here comes the arrow.
The arrow has found its way on. Gekno taking a little bit of damage, but unfortunately no conversion. A little bit too eager. 7 Deadly Sins, maybe I think a bit of itchy trigger finger. Bit of vision traded back over. Vengeance, the dynamic will be here around the pixel bush. The Elder Dragon has spawned. Both teams are fishing for something here. This should favor Platypus when he finds a way in.
Yeah, lane's balanced, so both teams have the pressure to engage. So much faking from both sides. We've got the poke coming out of the Lee Sin queue. Zoe can throw in the paddle stars. The Elder Dragon is alive. This is the game on the table as minions go into the 7DS base. Vengeance Academy just looking for a catch. Morg looking for a binding. The 2 AD carries there. Morg's caught.
Chimebright has ran forwards. She's popped the shackles. Will go down to Franklin even after the stoppage. Showstopper will bring Joe backwards. This is looking pretty Vengeance favored. Cataclysm finds 4. It's enough to get Sleep and Craft forwards. They can play this front to back. It's not over. Flash away. Sleep still going. They have to fight a lot of the carries and a huge Empress Divide. It's not converted on by Sleep. Franklin will take another. And Honest Sleep will have to just run away this time. That will be Elder Dragon 99%. Over to Vengeance Academy.
Yeah, I can imagine a fake Hawk shot scaring the heck out of Vengeance Academy here. Yeah, it has to be a recall for Honest Sleep. 1v4 is tantamount to suicide at this point. And it's going to be an Elder Dragon coming in for Vengeance Academy. They didn't get the first one. The second one's enough. 25-second death timers on both Motojo and Ice Arrow. 30 seconds on Craft. Surely they have to go to the end here of 43 minutes with an Elder Dragon, the supreme team fighting power that Execute gives. They're going to barrel in towards the Nexus turrets right now. They're looking for catches.
Enchanted Crystal Arrow in defensive redemption set up to keep them alive instead of proccing the Elder Dragon buff, but that's okay because Zoe can do it all herself. Huge! Oh my gosh, Gekno, what was that? Vengeance finally put their stamp on the game.
Style points for Gekno at the end with the kick causing the Elder Dragon execution effect onto Honest Sleep's Ash. And I don't know where to start on that game, Temporal, because at 30 minutes, it was easily a win for Vengeance Academy, who were scaling ahead with carry picks. Then Ice managed to lead a couple of brilliant engages with the team following up, securing deaths on Franklin very back-to-back, and setting up the Elder Dragon and Baron. And then Vengeance Academy took hold again with that final fight and some great positioning coming out. It was very back and forth, and I love the prospect of a 3-game series right now.
Oh man, that was just game 1. Oh boy, tons of fun. I think a lot of it does come down to itemization. I think Franklin could have just picked up the QSS much earlier. And then the Enchanted Crystal Arrows and Dark Bindings that did find Franklin and did twist those team fights just wouldn't have happened. 7 Deadly Sins did well to sort of run with that tempo, run with the momentum. They stole backwards after being 100% objective for so long. And then they found a little run, but I really do think Vengeance kind of gave it to them this time. I think between Gekno falling off slightly, between Somtha not itemizing 100% for the side lane with something more like a Triforce, more like a Guardian Angel instead of the Death Stance, something to really make Joe struggle, would have really found their edge there, would have made all of those potential positions we said 7 Deadly Sins can all take up really untenable. And instead, Honest Sleep, not quite able to convert at the end of the fight. I still think the 2v4 was possible, but unfortunately the Emperor's Divide forced out before Sleep could set up in a sniping position. And yeah, I think Vengeance got it all back together at the end. They made sure it didn't matter. The Quicksilver Sash wouldn't have made the difference right in that last fight. So they're able to push it through. And congratulations. Like you said, it's only game 1.
And at this point, it's beautiful. All fans of VL bet out there who've bet on the match going either way. I don't know what to tell you. It could go either way at this point. even such things as the QSS and giving one more escape, you don't know if that's going to affect the next fight because both AD carries, they could be going on a rampage like Honest did mid game, like Franklin did in the early game with a couple of great combo kills, or they could be the one caught out by a great CC chain. It's so unpredictable at this point. So a lot of food for both coaches to go back and look at the stream. But right now, we're interested in you guys, the fans. Hopefully, we'll give you only a few minutes to recuperate, and then we'll be back at you with Game 2 between a grudge match of Seven Deadly Sins and Vengeance Academy, the two junior teams of arguably the best teams in VL right now. They're going to go head-to-head once again after this break. From me and Temporal, have a good time. See you in a few minutes.
I'm so excited.
Hello and welcome to another pre-game interview here on twitch.tv/Valence League for week 3, day 1 with Seven Deadly Sins. Isaro, how are you doing today, mate?
I'm doing well, thank you. Looking forward to the game today. Should be a good one.
Good, I'm glad. I know that we've not got long before the game starts, so we'll just jump right into it. Do you want to give me a lowdown on what your lineup is? Who's playing for you today?
Yeah, so very similar to last split, only 2 changes really. We've promoted Craft from the bench to full-time mid lane starter, and then we brought in Motojo for top lane after our previous top lane decided he didn't actually want to be a team player.
Yeah, fair play. I mean, I did hear about the things that happened. I think that Motojo is an excellent choice. I did play with him myself back in the day. Brilliant player.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Right. Given the changes, I know that the core of the team is still the same, but still playing with new players can be difficult to adjust to sometimes. So how have things been going? How's the synergy working?
Yeah, definitely. Right at the start, there was a couple of issues in terms of what lanes we wanted to play around and how we wanted to play our early game compared to last split. But that's gotten a lot better now, and we are definitely improving. Scrims have been going pretty well, only really dropping games to Horizon Light and then to OPNA when they had their definitely called for ADC.
Yeah, definitely called for AD carry. I mean, that sounds good. Horizon Light, really good team. Personally, I think that it's going to be... they're just a really good team, so it's understandable to drop games to them. But they're definitely not Smurf OPN teams, you know. Also understandable.
Yeah. I mean, we've played them since, and we like... we 2-0'd them, so...
Yeah, I would expect so. I mean, given the caliber of your team, the caliber of the players that you've got on your roster, it's understandable that you guys would be really strong. Given that caliber and the way that scrims have been going, what are your expectations for this split? Do you think you'll finally move into Division 3?
Yeah, I honestly, if we don't promote this split, I don't see us continuing as a team because there is no reason why a team of our caliber should still be in Division 4, and obviously what happened last final was something we don't want to repeat again, and we're starting to take scrims a lot more seriously. We're practicing with a specific goal in mind. We're not being as cocky and as complacent, which is, I felt, was kind of the issue towards the end of last split.
I mean, yeah, it's an understandable point. Everything that happened in that final was just extremely unfortunate. I mean, even with how well you guys dealt with it, it was definitely a big upset. I think everybody had you as the favourites in that series, and I do think it would be a shame to see it happen again. I fully expect you guys to get promoted this season. The way you guys have been playing seems pretty impressive from what I've heard. Moving on from that, how do you guys feel about this game? Have you scrimmed Vengeance Academy? What are your expectations?
Not at all. Haven't scrimmed them at all. So obviously the core is still Somtha Franklin Serenica from the old Centurion Academy lineup. But they do have upgrades, I guess, in Platypus and Gekno in jungle and mid. So I don't know. I think we should still be okay. They have what I think is quite a obvious weakness. Or an easy to play around playstyle that I think we can definitely abuse.
I mean, how do you think your bot lane stacks up against theirs? I know that their bot lane is rather strong. Personally, I would put yours ahead. But how do you feel about it?
Just in terms of laning, I think our Chime is a much better lane. Like Serenica, lovely person, really nice to play on, and I did play with him on a team on DVA back in the day a bit, and he's a lovely dude, but I just don't think his mechanics and ability to roam early on the same.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to what promises to be a nail-biting series in Division 4, Week 3 of Valence League. My name's Cradden, and here on the edge of our seats together is going to be Temporal.
It's going to be an absolute blast. Game 1 was... I use the word emotional banger in draft to describe, like, the playstyle. And then it happened. 7 Deadly Sins, like, stayed in for so long, and it was so close, and they, like, tried so hard. And then it was in, they were in, they did it, they came back, they did the impossible, and then it all went bad again as Vengeance found their stride. And hopefully the same again, but we could be here for a few hours yet.
Yeah, there was a nice gap between 35 and 39 minutes in the last game where 7DS actually had a gold lead, and then we all saw what happened. If you didn't, Vengeance took the lead and won the game eventually at 42 minutes. Incidentally, the second game against Hentai Haven last week also went 42 minutes, so it's becoming a very big trademark of Vengeance Academy to leave it very late. Okay, with game 1 out the way, we're going to look at the bans coming in for game 2, and apart from the set, it looks like and the Caitlyn, it looks like we'll be having 4 of the 6 bans from game 1. Fizz and Ornn, very big target bans towards Somtha and Platypus, and Chime's Bard and Ice's Volibear look pretty threatening. Caitlyn and Set, they just want to be taken off the field.
We've kept some style bans, but then you're right, those individual Caitlyn and... Interestingly, Caitlyn banned away by Vengeance. So they're doing that one back the other way. Maybe they don't want to see Honest Sleep's B1 Caitlyn. They'll pick up Ashe instead.
And yeah, Ashe is really nice, very solid meta ADC at the moment, able to set up long range with the Enchanted Crystal arrows, able to get very consistent damage off, and in the hands of Honest Sleep last game, we saw that Ashe was able to carry out very good damage, do very good late game damage, and really prop up the team when it counted. She was a really big factor in 7DS's turnaround at about the 35-minute mark. We're also going to be seeing Ice's Jarvan take the stage again, so keeping as much of the same team-centric comp where players are backing up one another in synergetic dives that we saw in Game 1 for 7DS.
Yeah, I think they should look to use those again. The picks were, except the 1 or 2 that were a bit too eager, were on the whole pretty good. Icy Arrow's Jarvan, a bit of a Valence League staple. Malphite here on B3 could be flexed to middle or top, but I think that's probably a Motojo special.
Yeah, I really like the Malphite, and it really sets up the ult-centric play they want to do. Having a Cataclysm trap 4 members is a really nice setup for an unstoppable force. However, if you see a really powerful ult like you have on Malphite, Sylas is a great way to get back at that, because he can just say, "No you." I like to say "no you" a lot in chat. He can say it on the Rift. We'll be having a lot of coordinated unstoppable forces, Cataclysms, Enchanted Crystal Arrows, and basically 7 Deadly Sins are going to have all of their powerful ultimates thrown back at them more and more frequently with the hijack as the game goes on.
That's a really powerful R3 there from Vengeance. They can flex that into 3 lanes at the moment. Or 3 positions, rather. One of them is the jungle. Yeah, and all with fantastic targets here. Malphite, Jarvan, and Ashe, 3 ultimates that I just feel so good to steal on the Sylas. On the converse side, we're still banning for top lane, so Kennen taken away there. Maybe we're going to see this Malphite flexed around as well a little bit. Orianna and Galio taken away, so Vengeance don't want to see 7 Deadly Sins picking those up for the large team fight wombo combo special. That maybe would have been the difference last game if we weren't playing through the lanes quite so much.
Yeah, Vengeance really carrying out the same second phase bans, Galio and Oriana, as they did in the last game, so keeping things very consistent on craft. They're also taking the Lee Sin again, so both junglers. Some people call it the salty run back, but I really like that they're both sticking to their guns. Ice with a lot of early CC adjust, with a late adjust into a tank build. And Gekno doing what he does best in throwing out big mechanics, and he landed a few insects as well. In fact, I really like that we're seeing a lot of the same champions, but maybe in different combinations, with a couple of them thrown around, and now we've got another one with the Zoe coming out, presumably for craft in the mid lane for 7DS.
Okay, that does indicate this Malphite is destined for the top lane. Ashe Zyra will be the setup, so it will be quite hard for Gekno and Somtha, who I'm going to presume is on this Silas, to find their way onto Honest Sleep this time. They're going to try and set up the Ashe sort of sniping nest right in the middle of the team fight and keep her safe as she fires away on multiple people. That will be the win condition here. They've got a lot of tools to help her, but in the end of the day, Zoe can pick people up, Malphite can pick people up, Jarvan and Zyra can play backwards and forwards, but it's going to be Ashe, Honest Sleep's Ashe that makes the difference here. Ahri R5, so looking to fight away this Zoe with an assassin pick of their own.
Yeah, one of the things that strikes me really hard when looking at the two comps is it's very similar to what we commented on in the last game, where 7DS were looking for team-centric plays and picks, whereas Vengeance were just looking for single bursts of damage. It's probably more accentuated with the champions in Game 2, because looking at the ultimates, there's so much AoE that the team of 7DS can throw down with the Unstoppable Force multi-target, Cataclysm on a big engage, and Chime's Zyra Stranglethorns will do a very similar job to what Morgana's Soul Shackles did for her in Game 1. It will be Zoe and Ashe that bring together the focus and the single target damage that they need, but once again, 7DS operating as a single unit in an ideal situation. To put that on the other side, you've then got Ori and Lee Sin and Silas, whose methods of CC and burst damage are strictly on one champion. So they're going to be trying to get to craft Zoe to Honest Sleep's Ashe and basically send them into the Shadow Realm to win the fight, such that 7DS's frontline aren't setting up for anything. It's really important for 7DS that they get the vision as a result and really set up that front to back line identity.
Definitely a key point to highlight here. As you've said, it's going to be about these frontline positions and what we can and can't see from these key ultimates. The main engage, ignoring Serenica's Braum ulti, will be Lee Sin and Ahri. Here, Gekno and Platypus on Vengeance's side are going to be looking to set these things up. Somtha can only do it with his face or by stealing a Malphite ulti. It's going to be a little less consistent. Instead, more likely to see some insect plays, some huge charms in sort of mid games and in rotations. Does look to be a similar style of fight here from Vengeance. We'll have to see if they execute on it a little bit better, or maybe they keep the tempo and then it completely pushed through here. That will look to be a similar win condition from Vengeance.
Yeah, I really like seeing the Silas, and we saw Silas being picked with maybe 2 or 3 champions on the 7DS side visible. Since then, they've gone for the Zyra and the Zoe. Now, the Zoe ult isn't really one you want to take. It's a bit of a
Nope.
reposition. But the Zyra, it adds another dimension to what Silas wants to do. The problem with 7DS's comp, Silas is a really nice ult counter to it, because he can just lay down so many traps, fire off so many different ults. And given that 7DS want to be operating in a small, compact area and frontline to backline, there's not much stopping Silas from doing the no you, from turning that small, compact area into a graveyard and just set up lots of burst damage while Franklin repositions, Platypus uses the Spirit Rush to get around and just fire the orb in, and then Gekno does his just massive magic with his mechanics. So yeah, I really like this.
We do love it when Gekno does his thing. There were some really stylish plays in that last game. I really enjoyed it. Hope you all watching at home did as well. So we got 30 seconds on the clock. Once again, I'm really enjoying Seven Deadly Sins' composition. It's full of champions I love to see. They sort of do form that lovely cohesive unit, but I've just got this feeling in the back of the mind that Vengeance are playing a similar game, and they did it pretty well last game.
Yeah, but the problem is with the Vengeance style of play that so much is contingent on a massive early lead. And a lot of it in game one was born out of Somtha's 3 early kills onto Motojo. And I feel like Motojo, with the Malphite, with the shield, and just generally with the experience from game one, will be playing that much more cautiously. And it will rely a lot more on Gekno's shoulders to get Vengeance Academy into an early lead position. So if we were going for predictions, I'd like to see yours in chat, by the way. We've got a very large number of viewers, so thank you for watching. If you have an idea on who will win, who will mess up, hopefully not Kraft. There's no walls in this one. We'll hopefully see a great match. Who do you think will take it? Will it be Vengeance Academy setting up a game 2 victory? Or will it be 7DS equalizing the series and setting up a decisive game 3? What do you think, guys?
Okay, we will read out your predictions in a moment. I really do think you're right. It's going to be about whether Joe can bleed slowly in that top lane if he needs to. You can always do that sort of thing on Malphite. You can lose 50 CS if you really want to, as long as you keep the pressure you want and you can push R. You're still going to be able to do your thing.
Indeed, and so much of this game is going to be ultimates. We've mentioned it already in the pre-game with Silas countering a lot of what 7DS want to do. We saw a very static level 1 in the previous game, and initially it looks to be the same, both jungle as mid. I'd like to see the push for ward control that 7DS brought out. Of course, it's switched sides this time, so we're going to be fighting from the opposite halves of the map. I like what Chimebright's trying to do in getting some positions, but Franklin, we'll see it a lot later in the game, but he just wants to consistently get through early game, get his tier going, and just start scaling up with consistent poke.
All right, I'm going to break character for a moment. I believe I have a desynchronization issue. I'm going to count from 57, 58, 59, 60.
Yeah, I think we've got a 10-second gap between
us. It's right. I can fix this one. I'm going to... I noticed because of the timeline.
Okay.
There we go. I'm back. 21, 22, 23, 24. That's correct. All right, we're all synced up. Thank you, Riot Games, for fixing your bugs, even if it does mean that occasionally we run into other ones.
Okay, and it looks like I'm there as well. We're going for 137 and a 38 and a 39. Does that match up at all? Love it. We take those. So if that's the most difficult thing that comes to managing game 2, then the teams have not lived up to our expectations, because we've got a lot of potential from both sides. As a fairly clean start happens, we had 5 points, we had jungle matching, and we're actually going to see opposite halves of the map this time. Both junglers starting on their red buffs.
Yeah, I think this makes a reasonable amount of sense. Ezreal Braum, you can assume, is going to be a victim of an early gank from Jarvan, even if it's not going to be the case this time. He's instead pathing up to that top side for an early gank onto the Silas. Looking to put Silas behind it in lane is a reasonable thing to do. Unfortunately, Kingslayer does allow him to get back in there relatively quickly. Malphite, with not a lot of counterplay against it, will be having to build a little bit of anti-synergy and grab a Bramble Vest quite early on into this lane, I think. It's going to be a bit of a struggle for Joe. We're going to have to see how that one pans out. Gekno has it cleared. He's going for Gromp and then bot lane, so there might be seeing some action down it.
Oh, but a lot of damage onto Somtha already. We'll see the Kingslayer come out for the healing. And Gekno is going to position for that first gank. There is a nice ward in there from the 7DS bot lane of Honest Sleep and Chimebright. Gekno is just out of position, but he's coming into the lane now. It's been pinged. And that's going to be great movement for it coming in. Top lane is even closer, though. Joe is on very low health. Both top laners having flash and holding it. Nerves of steel as Ice Arrow comes in from the back. The Q delayed damage, securing first blood, and Ice must now back off. That's going to be great from Vengeance Academy. Again, getting first blood. Gekno doing things in mid lane, and Gekno getting out of there with the shield, not wanting to take those extra turret shots. Chaotic already as Ice looks to go back towards top side.
A little risky there, taking a lot of damage, but Gekno decides he actually wants more. It's another paddle stop.
This could be Ice as well. He's coming over the wall, forces Gekno's flash. Ice still has his available. Gekno on low health. Kraft is going to flash for everything here. Walk right into the double orb of Deception. Ignite ticks, and one final auto attack will ensure that Raging Platypus takes mid lane control for Vengeance Academy.
That's got to feel really good at this stage. Early Zoe, not a huge amount of interaction normally in lane for the Ahri, just fishing to stat check with those charms, and instead gifted a kill over in the 2v2. A little overextension, overexcitement to stop Gekno. Talking of overexcitement, Craft's back.
Yeah, I really like the way these early game fights are happening. Every player is wanting to get in and make an impact. Some for doing that. Again, great abscond abduct combo coming out. Motojo, even with his granite shield, is going to be reduced to low health. Going to have to use those corrupting potions to stack back up.
There's a little bit of a struggle with the Malphite Comet lane. If you do take a number of bad trades, it can go sour for you pretty quickly. I want to shout out Sleep. That was a fantastic hawk shot. Too often you see hawk shots not travel the length of the map. The explosion radius at the end, unless it's on your late game team fight, does not matter. It is not big enough. It is not that much bigger than the travel time. If you're looking for a jungler, look for a line, send it the whole map. It is the answer. Sleep knows what he's doing here.
Yeah, I've seen that from my ADC lore, but we'll talk about lore later. We'll write love letters later on when there isn't a big play happening in the bot lane. Gekno is in position. He was about 2 minutes ago. He really wants to make an impact on this bot lane. He's just out of sight lines now, but he did reveal earlier, and as a result, he's going to recall. And top lane breaking out once again. Abduct going just wide. Somther taking the health advantage and definitely starting to take push advantage. Joe farming well still. Platypus looking for the charm and dodges the trouble bubble. Getting out of the way because Chimebright's making a nice roam for vision. Very tetchy, but no clean engage yet.
That was the sort of engage we sort of see characterizing the Ahri Zoe matchup. Ahri really wants to kill Zoe. It's like, I know a lot of people share the sentiment. They get really frustrated. There's a little zippy kid and she's going to bubble you from like 50 miles away. You just want a health to hit 0. That's all Ahri wants. But between these little bubble pokes, the Zoe not truly vulnerable, especially with the ultimate up, makes Ahri's job really difficult.
A lot of damage coming in from Ashe, but she is on the wrong side of a Lee Sin gank. Franklin forcing the heal with his damage, and with the Sonic Wave going wide. Bit of nice safety in the bot lane, but that's a bubble landing just as the Spirit Rush second dash comes through for Platypus. The trade is neutralized once again. Gekno's coming towards bot side for the 4th time in 6 minutes, and Zyra is going to stop him in his tracks. Great resilience from the 7DS bot lane.
Yeah, maybe tanking these ganks as a sort of, maybe Gekno's idea is, hey, last game they sort of hinged it all on this Ashe. This composition hinges it all on Ashe.
Oh, Ice is going middle, and that's crafting a great bubble. Set up everything Ice has to offer. Platypus has flashed, but that's a shame flash coming out just as Somther goes in mid lane looking for the kill, but Joe's flash is very effective there. He's going to have to come back to lane as Somther gets a plate up there.
This is something else. It's going to be a characterization of the Malphite. Unfortunately, Silas does win against nearly every tank in the 1v1. Healing 40% of your health will do that on the regular. He's going to have to be sent back to base. Will miss XP and minions, but he keeps sort of his calm. If he keeps it all together, he's still going to be able to do what he needs to do for Sleep and Craft in the late game. Be the follow-up, be the defense. A fantastic trouble bubble on mid lane did take out Platypus. Again, it's the other half of this matchup. The Ahri is going to struggle to find anything onto the Zoe as long as she keeps her cool. She's got to keep the stat check of the charm in her mind. Is her way back in. But even when you hit it, can't kill Zoe before the trouble bubble comes through, turns you off, and she can just wander off again. Conversely, when she finds the trouble bubble forwards, you are in a world of hurt. Icy Arrow capitalizing on that one fantastically. Both teams looking towards the Infernal Dragon next.
Yeah, nice to see both teams setting up that vision down in the bot side. Great deep ward coming out from Chime. And if not for Gekno's positioning on the blue buff, would have actually set up a potential steal attempt. Yeah, exactly as you pointed out, Temporal. Both junglers going towards the bot side. First Drake was taken last game at 12-13 minutes. Looks to be a similarly late one this time, as both teams cancelling each other's presence out down in the bot lane. Love the vision from both sides. We saw pretty high ward scores coming in from both Chime and Serenica. Both ADCs still looking for their first item on one. What a fight. But Ice is pulling the trigger. He's gone over the wall and he's looking for that Infernal Drake now. Below 1/2 health, there's not much that Ezreal without an ult can do to steal it. And that's going to be an Infernal Drake. We cut up to top lane as we see Somther go for the chase. Motojo has some damage with the AP Comets. And it's going to be really close to see what they do next.
It's going to be a bit of a struggle, Joe. Opting for the more traditional scaling, but
Unstoppable Force popped in with a WE combo. He's done. That's all I can say.
The best part about Malphite is if the people can't do abilities, they can't play the game against you if they're knocked up. You can't Kingslayer like the optimal time if you're mid-air. And Joe finding that one fantastically. Another fight's breaking out.
The bubble coming out onto Gekno. Ice is level 6. He has the advantage. Malphite is in there as well. And the cheese wheel will take the kill. Ash Arrow going wide, but they're still looking for Platypus, who has to Spirit Rush away. Great catch out by Kraft with that bubble onto Gekno.
It is absolutely fantastic work from Seven Deadly Sins. This is exactly what their composition wants to do. These are big unit fights, even if Honest Sleep isn't there to capitalize. At this stage, Joe's still a threat, Kraft is a threat, and Icy Arrow is there to tie it all together in true Jarvan fashion.
Yeah, Seven Deadly Sins, they're just like, hang on, guys, did we lose that game? We're going to have to do something about that, and it seems that's the energy they're bringing to this game too. They could be going well behind against Gekno, who's a really good early influencer, and at the moment, the run of play seems to be going towards the side of Vengeance, the side of Seven Deadly Sins. They've got a 1.2k gold lead. Motojo, who looked very shaky in the early game, is starting to look convincing. He's basically equaling Somtha's farm, and I had to pause there just in case Gekno was going to make that work in the mid lane. Malphite just doing well in holding his own, and we'll start to see his true power when he influences team fights.
Okay, yeah, if Joe carries on with his magic resist path, eventually we'll just get out of range of Somtha, even over these long fights, instead of opting in for the anti-heal cheese. It does work if you manage to high roll your way out of it. Somtha is still a pretty threatening duelist. Will we see the Manamune come through from Ezreal? Are we talking about the bottom lane? We do. So Manamune is now enabled. We'll maybe see Franklin pushing for a little bit more presence in that bottom lane instead of sort of taking Honest Sleep's Ash Zyra composition, lying down almost. You sort of got to give it to an aggressive Zyra in an Ezreal lane. There's not a lot of trading you can do backwards and forwards. Bit of a struggle with that ranged AP damage. Good work from Kraft to keep the CS lead up in this top up at this stage in the game. It's not always the easiest part of the Zoe matchup, even if you do feel dominant in the 1v1. Gekno moving through this mid lane. His confidence has got to be so shattered after that last fight.
Yeah, Motojo getting caught out and does take the bad first part of a trade. That's the hijack we wanted to see. That Somtha now able to hit the no U button on Joe, who has his ult ready. I want to see them both miss and go to each other's location. That's the highlight play we want here in VL Dev 4, as both junglers are pathing towards the top side. Rift Herald is on the table. Activating timers, we see that we still got 2 minutes to go until the dragon. Gekno will see Ice walk over a ward, and that's the perfect tactical time to pause and see that fact. So, well played to Ice, whose black screen appears to have set up that reveal.
Okay, looks to be a monitor power issue. It looks to be straight back on. Seven Deadly Sins calling the ready, but we'll just take a second to breathe, look at the game. Hijack has been used, so we do see Somtha rocking that unstoppable force on his ultimate indicator. I think there was a moment Somtha maybe used it a little early. Joe could have just walked to his tower and based, confident that the cannon minion wave would reach his tower, stay frozen up front, and he'll be able to walk back to lane just in time to scoop it all back up. So Somtha would get the wave for free, but his ultimate would burn down. He would have to get under the tower to get the next wave of minions, and would cause a real trouble up there in the top lane, forcing an instant 2v2.
EQ counters the faked Malphite ult. Motojo using his as well. It's going to be a teleport as the fight explodes in the top side. Spirit Rush goes in mid, and Kraft is sent to the Shadow Realm by Platypus. He's asleep, but he was slept on as his power saw that 1v1 in the mid lane happen. Great move from Vengeance on the red side, as they now start to push in for plates mid side. Might start to get Herald priority as well.
It is the next objective on the map. Has Joe found Somtha?
It's going to be close. There's the unstoppable force. Somtha is locked in an arena. Who is locked in with whom? It's going to be Somtha taken down by a great two-man at Motojo. Ice Arrow move. Gekno can't get there fast enough. And that's going to be the agency on Herald gone. Great move by both junglers up top.
Oh, excuse me. Losing the priority onto Herald, a real struggle. That was the next move here from Vengeance Academy. And even with Platypus picking up that kill in the middle lane, Kraft a little slow on the bubble.
I'm not sure Gekno wants to do this, and Malphite just taking the wise move, backing off.
I think Joe just thought it was bait. I think he just thought it was teleport bait for something there for a moment. Like, wasn't sure what's going on.
Though, as Somta goes bot side, we're going to see the GLP come in. Honestly, is isolated, and that is going to be the 4th stack of the Brown passive applied before Franklin's life is threatened. Heal and Ignite both pop from the bot lane of Vengeance Academy, but that teleport was really well used there.
Okay, Joe maybe not calling that teleport bait was still global.
Oh, Zoe in the area, looking for Franklin at this point. Bubble goes slightly wide right now. Here comes the shift. Brown applying the stacks as Zoe uses the heal, has the Ignite at her disposal, just picking up those summoner spells like a hoover as she roams through that bot lane. Vengeance Academy doing the wise thing and just backing off for now. Resetting priority, and they want to reset because that Ocean Drake is looking juicy. It's up now.
I do enjoy sort of the mental picture of Zoe running around with a little vacuum. Maybe it's a hat like dragged around and just like summon a spell straight in there. I think Kraft maybe would have succeeded against any other support, but has found the bubble onto
Nice
the
bubble. Ice is going to follow up. He does that really well with his team. Sets up more Kraft damage. That's the GLP. There's the Ignite. There's the auto attack. Everything together ensures that return kill, and Kraft putting one back onto Platypus with the help of his team. 70S doing that so well. Chime is in enemy territory here. Great kick coming through, but Ice is there as well as honestly. Gekno is going to try and get a kill. Chime is going to go as gold as her elo as the 7 Deadly Sins combo wins through. They're going to get Dragon Prio as Motojo also has teleport advantage should they need it.
It really does feel good when you get the stopwatch and you just get it to work so well around a major objective that will be the Ocean Dragon. We spoke earlier about Ocean Dragon on 2 not being the end of the world. So the Cloud Soul does reveal itself, the map transforms. It's gotta feel so good. Chime executing that one fantastically. Huge props in the bot lane. This Ashe Zyra should continue to accelerate until Ezreal is triforced up.
Let's check top though. Malphite is setting up for Zoe. Bubble goes wide, but that's a big paddle star coming through. Somtha gets the Zoe ult, but that's not the one you want. The hijack is just gonna send him back into the Shadow Realm. He's out and then he's in. It's like a philosophical message about League of Legends and video game addiction. And in this case, Motojo is going to get a few shots on the tower before joining his team for a second Rift Herald attempt.
It was so unfortunate from Somtha there. It looked like he got stuck at the other end of the Zoe ultimate, not wanting to go back in. No, don't take me back. I didn't think that's what this ultimate did. He's delivered unto Joe and Kraft. It's great to see 7 Deadly Sins continue to snowball this composition. They are looking to maintain this tempo. They are currently rocking the 100% objective advantage. It is only going to help them set up these fights. It's going to help them get into position early with the Malphites and control the vision around these objectives. Is going to be oh so important. It's going to give them that extra edge where maybe Serenica's Braum pick negates a little bit of Zoe, negates a little bit of Ashe. It's going to make the difference in these next few minutes. With Baron soon on the cards, it's going to have to be a decisive setup here. They've based the lane assignments maintain the same. Where is the vision going to go?
Ooh, Serenica just negating a lot of damage with Unbreakable. And yeah, we haven't really discussed Serenica's role in this too much. And yeah, he really just has to intercept the Ashe and the Zoe on one hand. Also, when Ice goes in and gets the coordination down, he needs to work as well as possible with his team to apply the Brown passive and just get those stuns off to really stop any sort of forward momentum that 7 Deadly Sins have in this.
They haven't got a lot of CC otherwise, so if they do struggle to be applying those Braum passives, Ezreal does it pretty handily, and any sort of all-in also will follow to do it properly. Gekno's fishing.
Oh, yeah, he's still fishing and draws out the Honest Sleep Enchanted Crystal Arrow, so obviously the bot lane really nervous about this sort of gank potential. Joe and Somtha are just going to go at each other. I'd call it a wet noodle fight, but there's actually serious damage going out from both sides. Healing potential from Somtha as well. But Gekno really trying to make bot lane happen. Ice obviously has the Rift Herald, which is timed with the next dragon. And first brick is still on the table, so that's probably the biggest macro move that could happen. I want to see that 7 Deadly Sins use the Rift Herald as counterweight. Franklin shifts in. It's not what he wants to do. Leaves himself prey for Ice and then has to flash over the wall. Summoner's down. Honest opens up onto Serenica and they're forcing so much out as the Ezreal ult comes through. 7 Deadly Sins still so healthy. They could really pull off a Herald play right now and that's exactly what they're going to do, Temporal. They're drawing over Platypus's Ari in an attempt to defend this, but that's going to be a dead tower, surely, as the Herald smashes into it. Somtha going down as well in the top lane. Unstoppable Force coming out to big effect. Joe getting really big revenge coming in for that Game 1 performance.
Okay, got to love it. So a maybe slightly premature Herald here, but it does enable the free reset. Honestly, Shine Bright and Craft off the back of that all gain extra gold, all get a reset. We're going to see extra components out here for Sleep, so enabling that Ash Power Spike. Franklin does have his Sheen, so it's going to be pretty neutral at this stage. The Ezreal can still do his job. Chime has picked up the Horning, guys. Something that does go quite well in these dragon fights. We all do forget that Madness passive is literally 110% of a champion now. It's not something you can argue with on something as threatening as Azira. Huge props to Chime in that last fight. Did manage to bait everyone in, jumped on the fishing rod and got Serenica and Franklin into a pretty dire position. It's a shame the Enchanted Crystal Arrow was still down from the Respect ultimate earlier. Otherwise, that could have been a real humdinger.
And yet, Chime has been so influential in drawing out Franklin, both in Game 1 on the Morgana, and then with a nice bait play as the Zyra in this Game 2. The bot lanes, we haven't seen the full effectiveness yet. We've been looking at jungle, mainly top with an odd mid solo kill thrown in. But it's the full team fights that are going to decide this game, as they did very chaotically in Game 1. And that massive damage coming out from Craft's Paddle Star. Look at those close jungle fights. Craft is just able to get a monopoly off with those types of ability. Somtha, however, is flanking. He's popping the teleport. Can get mid-prio, but really wants to prop up his team. 7 Deadly Sins going in. That's an Ashe ultimate. That's a Malf ultimate. And Zyra goes in. All of them together. That's what they want to do. Exodia comes out. Every facet of the comp working in complete synergy as they get 2 kills and they get some push on mid lane. This is what peak performance looks like, ladies and gentlemen.
You cannot argue with a draft that says when you finish all 5 of your champions' power spikes, you win the game. Exodia coming through here slowly. This is what it looks like. Unfortunately, Chime picked out on the side, but oh my gosh, it's not even going to happen, the reversal.
Yeah, that's fantastic as well. Chime, you would write her off in many situations, but Ari going down really underlines just how far ahead 7DS are and how well they are adapting in the split-second fight decisions. On top of that, they're going to get the 3rd Drake of the game. It was a clean sweep on the Elemental Drakes for Vengeance Academy in Game 1. 7 Deadly Sins certainly threatening it in Game 2. They've got a 6k gold lead. They've got 2 turrets to 0. It's probably going to be 3 as soon as Joe sends a stiff wind up to the top lane to knock that outer turret over.
I think only a stiff wind required at this stage. It is quite low on the health points. I think maybe we should see the rotation up here from Sleep and Bright. We'll have to see which lane assignments are chosen. Zoe getting herself the own haunting, guys. It's going to be a game of 110% magic damage, I think, from the side of 7 Deadly Sins. I appreciate both of it. I don't think the Morellonomicon completely required unless you're planning to fight Somtha. Talking of fighting Somtha.
Yeah, Joe flashing aggressively towards Ice Arrow and setting up the double ult on both targets. Somtha no use with the Unstoppable Force, but look at the health goals on those 2 7DS champions. The escape is a good idea, but even with the healing, it's not going to work for long. Ice picking up his 3rd kill of the game. And Franklin and Serenica, they're just too late up into the top side. They're right for the picking. Ice going towards Franklin, but goes back for the safer kill onto Braum as soon as he gets out of that stopwatch. Stranglethorns making safe that kill on Franklin. He's got to be careful because even without their ultimate, 7DS are strong. Platypus is walking up. A reverse flank here, and Sleep nice. Wide open. One set of the Spirit Rush, second gets him out. Can Platypus go back in? It looks like that's just a safe kill, stopping 7 Deadly Sins in their tracks.
Endless bloodshed around this rotational top tower fight a little bit. So we did see Somtha do reasonably well in the fight against Motojo and Icy Arrow on an execution front. When you're facing down a 6-1-4 Malphite, this tank strength composition sort of setup we see with the Comet, which is meta on the ladder at the moment. Few exceptions for Grasp and other runes like Press the Attack, but it has such strength in lane, it never really slows down. Once that mana flow band is stacked, it is so well positioned to bully even the lane bully of Silas. The one option is get the healing reduction, play it properly.
Oh,
nice!
There as 7DS make another play. The Malphite flanks are huge, and he's going to get that CDR from the Cloud Drake, the rank 2 ultimate, and Gekno's right for the picking as well. Kraft with his 3rd kill of the game. It wasn't even a coordinated play. It wasn't set up with wards, but a little overextension can lead to a giant step for 7 Deadly Sins kind.
They are layering these Sleepy Trouble bubbles so perfectly. It happened in the top fight as well. Even when the stopwatch came out, the Stranglethorns perfectly timed, putting all of Vengeance's little efforts and ways of twisting these fights straight back on themselves. Even though Chime takes a bit of poke there, it doesn't matter. She's pulling out Franklin here. It's exactly what Kraft wants.
And the damage is huge here. It's being followed up with an Ash Arrow, but 7DS just can't quite get to this one, or at least not safely. Vengeance Academy getting a little time to recuperate, but you don't get too much in these sort of games. The Soul Point Drake for 7DS is up in 1 minute 40 seconds. It's going to be the Cloud Soul, which is bad news considering that 7DS have got a comp that builds almost entirely around their ultimates. Malphite Motojo has 30% CDR already. His rank 2 ultimate is 66 seconds cooldown. So all of the team firing their ultimates down on you with increased frequency as the game goes on. It's a nightmare scenario for Vengeance Academy, and it's a difficult one to come back from if the Soul Point goes 7DS's way.
It is a common criticism of the Cloud Dragon that it doesn't increase the ceiling of what you can do in any one moment. It only changes the frequency of how you can do it. With a Zoe composition and something that works around each other so fantastically as Zyra, Ashe, Malphite on top. I know I'm just listing off ultimates and names, but this composition is working so well with these players. They know exactly what they're looking for, what to go for. Increases the frequency of this, keeping the energy high and hyphy at this stage in the game will only give them a greater and greater advantage.
Yeah, 7DS just getting territory at the moment. They're getting the wards up. They're establishing vision control. They've pretty much all made their resets. There's no more than 700 gold on any champion. To be honest, they've even got 2 teleports to play with. So Motojo just trying to get bot prio. Zyra doing zoning, and on a sleeps Ashe going... It wasn't on a sleeps,
it was fishing for a quick pick in the jungle. It's all right. They do it to us all the time, Kraden. Something a bit desperation. Here comes the real one.
And it's right on the Silas as well. We call that poetic justice. Gekno sent into a zone of his own making. And that's a massive engage coming in from Motojo onto Franklin, who flashes right into chaos. As 7DS are running wild, Somtha is slowed. There's a lot of damage there, and Platypus is going to be knocked up by the Stranglethorns. A last charge of Spirit Rush available, but the exhaust is going to make him slow. 7DS now acquiring a new target, and there's nothing that mid laner can do. It's 3 for 0 already. They can turn for Drake Soul right now. This is the Cloud Soul. It's going to give them that out-of-combat movement speed and 20% CDR on their ultimate abilities with level 16 and the rank 3 ultimate promise approaching rapidly.
Let loose the Hounds of War. 7 Deadly Sins have got a little bit of CC in their pockets for everyone. The fantastic pick forwards with the real Enchanted Crystal Arrow. No imitations accepted here. Chained forwards and forwards and forwards. It really looked like Vengeance were routed there, falling one by one in unfortunate positions as they scramble to find anything to stop the soul going down. Kraft was in a fantastic position to set that one up, thanks to the vision from all of his teammates contributing down there on the bottom side. Vengeance trying to come forward, scramble for anything at all. Do find those bubbles, do find the Enchanted Crystal Arrows. The setup oh so well executed. It means the tempo is truly well and on here, growing to 9,500 gold lead. It's going to be the play for Baron. They've sent Motojo with his teleport down to the bottom lane. To off the reset, here come the 7 Deadly Sins in true setup fashion.
And that's the right thing to do, Temporal. They could have tried to make the tempo play. They could have gone with 10k gold ahead. We're routing them at every opportunity and gone for the Baron. But at half health, with the teleports available and with a resurgent Vengeance Academy leaving base, 7 Deadly Sins have learned from game 1. They don't want to give the other team an opportunity to win at the last moment. They're going to come back in with full gold, with Medjay Soul Stealer on Kraft's Zoe. I love it. They're going to have a lot of tenacity on both Jarvan and Malphite, and they're going to be getting more and more XP, taking them closer to rank 3 ults.
It is exactly what they want to do. They now have the Baron damage. Double Leandries coming out.
Oh, catch up potential. Zyra goes in. It's a full combo and one that forces Lee Sin's flash, even if the ult wasn't going to land. The plant threat and the threat of follow-ups from 70S is just too strong. Franklin reduced to poking at this point. Zoe with the flank. And here comes the Ashe, interrupted by the first shot of Spirit Rush. The Unstoppable forces in the Cataclysm. It's the full comp, and Franklin forced to retreat at low health. Already a kill going in. Massive damage from the Ranger's focus of Honest Sleep, who is uninterrupted in dealing consistent, devastating damage to Vengeance Academy, who have lost 3 members, and they're about to lose a whole lot more. Inhibitor turret going down. Gekno listens to his mind over his body as the Sonic Wave is not followed up upon. The inhibitor is going to be going down here. 7DS are at a critical juncture. Do they go for the end? Do they go for the 2 inhibs? Do they go for the Baron? They're going to be taking option 2 as they have a wave to focus with in the mid lane. Great deterrence, and they still don't have 5 members to call on the red side. Kraft just looking for any spare damage they can. Lee Sin can't engage.
Give your lungs a rest, Kraden!
It's going to be 2 inhibs. Will it be Baron now, Temporal? What do we think?
2 inhibitors into trapping the Baron here. 7 Deadly Sins, even though they have all of this Baron damage, do not have to start. Instead, they can look over the wall. That incredible 60-second play, all starting from Icy Arrow, flagging off the Banshee's Veil on Platypus. Popping that with the Demacian standard does mean that then Honest Sleep was able to cast the Ash Arrow, and even though Platypus had the agency to dash away, that was just the smokescreen. Motojo ready on the side, waiting for his Unstoppable Force to hit multiple members as Platypus comes back. It is just a sign that 7 Deadly Sins really know how to play this composition. They know that when Vengeance start panicking, they have to group them all up. And even though Gekno is looking a little shaken, he's still clearing out vision on this bottom side. It's going to be a real struggle. They now have to set up around the Baron and make the side of Vengeance Academy make this impossible choice between their base, Baron, or dying in between.
You know what? We might well go for all 3. Why be impossible when you can int while defending your base and dying to Baron? We'll see what happens. The 70S are going to continue doing what they've done so far this game and exert considerable pressure while staying safe with their gold spikes. Franklin really can't approach this and has to resort to just an ult. The only weak point in the vision is topside. Something is coming around that tri-brush. He's not spotted at the moment, and he's got to really engage as Malphite goes in round the backside. 70S leaving nothing to chance. There's the Ashe ult following up on the Zoe Paddle Star, and anyone within any sort of reference frame of Baron is taken out like an airstrike. 7DS have got a 2-kill lead. They've got Baron. It's 1 minute 30 till Elder, but Motojo doesn't care right now. He's going to go with the 70S
the finish.
They're looking for the end here. They're looking to level the series, and with the ult not available, they're just going to send the minions in. Cheese Wheel, and honestly, is going to build up the 5-man roster of 7 Deadly Sins, smashing down upon the base. Consistent damage is real, and with 10 minions around, Gekno only able to hit the front side. Vengeance Academy are just unable to affect anything that 7DS are doing, and the Nexus is going to be taken down, not before some padding for KDA. China and Ice leading the charge. It's going to be 1-1. What a smash from 7DS.
That is the way to come back into a series. If you're not happy, if you're like reasonably happy with your game 1, but it didn't go the way you wanted, so you're not truly happy, that is the way to come back in game 2. Keep what you needed and what your opponents aren't going to take away from you in draft. Keep the theme, but change some little pieces. So you've got a little bit of what you had, a little bit more of what you want, and execute where you know you could, and you couldn't make it work last game, but you are confident you can. Gekno, frankly embarrassed on his Lee Sin. That is his pick. He showed us he knows how to make it work. The stylish moves in game 1, a stark comparison to the 0-6-0 Lee Sin. Maybe forcing too much on the bottom side where it is not favorable, not snowballing his Silas advantage in the top side. Really does show that Lee Sin has to make it work in the early game. Otherwise, the opponent's team will make it work for them. And what a game from 7 Deadly Sins to show that they can make it work.
Yeah, as you said, Temporal, the potential that Vengeance Academy showed in Game 1, they could get the early leads. Somther as well as Gekno really accelerating from the start. 7 Deadly Sins showed to us in Game 2 that they just weren't prepared to accept that happening again. And not only did they play it safe, they started accelerating their lead from a very early point, and they weren't prepared to let it slip. They had the vision control that was required of them with that sort of composition. Sure, they got lucky that it was a Cloud Drake, but they didn't get lucky in that they controlled the vision and took the territory around whatever Drake was available. Real masterclass on display. We are going to see, ladies and gentlemen, who's the winner. It's 1-1. Everything is poised between the academies of arguably the two best senior teams in VL right now. The best of 3 will be decided in the final game, and me and Temporal are going to have the honor and privilege of taking you through it after this short break.
Don't go anywhere.
Roses are red, apples make cider. Hope you're here with us for this best of three decider between Vengeance Academy and 7 Deadly Sins. Welcome back to the stream. It's been a great night. I'm Cradden, and here with me to cast this final roller coaster of a game is going to be Temporal. How are you doing?
I think a roller coaster is the right word. I'm alive, Cradden. I think we all are a little more awake after that last game. A bit of a belter, an emotional banger in the first, followed by a convincing, crushing 7 Deadly Sins. Drop-kicked Vengeance into the summoning circle and sent them straight to the Shadow Realm, as you mentioned. Oh boy. Yep, Honest Sleeper says he is the most overrated player, and Ash Arrow does go brr. It does. The fantastic layering of CC calling of ultimates was the key for 7 Deadly Sins in game 2. I expect to see a little bit of a draft change up. We didn't see much between game 1 and 2, but oh boy. I don't think Vengeance will want to see that happening again.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Vengeance do to counter that, because it seems as if the solo carry methods have been their style. They've certainly kept that throughout the Hentai Haven series last week, and Gekno's, I'd say, too heavy of a carry jungler to go for a similar style to the one that Ice is doing, where he gets early impact but then goes to a heavy CC tank style. I think with that, they might have to put Somther or Platypus on a more defensive pick, but I just don't think that's in the DNA of Vengeance Academy. They may just stick to what's strong and look for an early lead.
Okay, they have taken away the Ash and the Jarvan this time, Icy Arrow, and honestly, we'll have to find something else to do. A new character will approach in the near coming. Conversely, 7 Deadly Sins the ones to take away Caitlyn on red side this time, so it will not be a repeat of the B1 Caitlyn, it will be the B1 Ezreal. Bottom lane gauntlet thrown down here from Franklin.
Yeah, I really like that such is the intimidating factor of Chimebright's Bard. I mean, Chime's in the name, guys. And Raging Platypus's Fizz, that it's just been a target ban throughout the series. The others can be described as either meta bans in Caitlyn or Volibear's sense, or sort of salty runback bans. That's the best way I can describe them. We just don't want Ice's Jarvan or Honest Sleep's Ashe in the game. And with Ashe and Caitlyn out of the way, we start to see the next tier of AD carries break through. we're going to be seeing the fairly safe Ezreal pick with the scaling that we didn't quite get to see the fruition of from Franklin, against a very nice positional carry in MF, who can definitely ult in team fights, carrying that theme forward for 7DS, but also get a lot of great trades and short bursts of damage through in the laning phase.
Right, we do look to be going for the Bronze Odia again. The assemble 5 pieces and not even a challenger team can stop you special. Misfortune and Sejuani leaning towards that style. Push our win game. It's a pretty good way to play League of Legends. Conversely, Mordekaiser picked up here lots of team theme in the draft over sort of little advantages and looking around lanes. Mordekaiser and Nami will be B2 and 3. So they're looking up to set up a 1v1 in the top side. Mordekaiser really thrives in that environment. Give him a 1v1 and a split push, and there are very few champions who can put paid to him. We'll have to see if on R3, 7 Deadly Sins want to pick one of them.
Yeah, I'm just seeing, as I'm reading the chat at the moment, we've got a lot of support for Honest Sleep and all of 7DS on 1 hour at the moment. I really want to see everyone getting behind the players as the draft develops for this final game. Yeah, Bronze Odia coming out in full force as we enter the second ban phase, versus the Vengeance Academy draft has got to be the one to watch. Ezreal Nami offers a lot of sustain and a lot of repositioning, provided the bubbles land. I also like the idea of the wave and the true shot barrage in late game fights, but it falls prey to the same potential drawback as in game 2. Ezreal might not get to the point with the Manamune complete and enough poke coming through. We might just go straight to fast picks coming out of 7 Deadly Sins, where long fights don't lead to the Ezreal getting ahead. I like the Mordekaiser pick, though. I really want to see that being resilient to ganks.
Okay, against the Malphite, it's going to be a bit of a struggle, but ideally in this lane, Mordekaiser survives until he's got 2 items, or maybe 1 item and a component in the form of a Oblivion Orb or a Haunting Guise. We'll have to go forwards from there, see what he can do. If he can start 1v1ing Malphite in the side lane, he has to try and coordinate with his team to make sure there isn't gank assist for the Malphite. Unless he can 1v1 him down very quickly, it will always enter the larger unit team fight with the 2v2 or the 2v1. Okay, Craft Zoe banned away. No surprise here. He is rocking it in his club tag. And a Nautilus to combo with a Misfortune will not be happening this time.
Yeah, just looking at so many ways that 7DS can influence their fight. Craft Zoe ban is fair. We haven't seen the Nautilus ban at any point before, but Leona is certainly up there if it gets picked. It's bad form as a caster to talk about Hover, but Misfortune Leona has a great lane.
I always get so excited that that rule just has to go out the window. Yeah, we should really use the limited time we have for the things that are picked and not get baited, but every now and again there's just a head turner and you can't leave that on the table.
The R comp is so strong, and I really love what 7DS are doing. They're just putting all the eggs in the ult basket, and they're going to do the same thing, which is look to get in a position where they just scale hard late game and don't give away too much before that point with strong positional play, strong vision, and good, I think you described it during the break between games temporal, as nice fight baiting and positioning such that they don't get caught in bad fights.
Yeah, it's a pretty key part of these push arc compositions is you really do have to play it to the limits of your health bar. I know that sounds really obvious, but when you get that extra pick, it really snowballs the next thing. Come on, Chimebright, we know you're not playing that this time, or are you?
Yeah, I love the baits on this one. Just cycle through every champion. The Zillion Hover, I think, is for my benefit. We'll shout that one out for Chime. I'm a Zillion main in the support role, but that's almost certainly not going to happen unless it's flex mid. It is going to be a Vel'Kar's great ult, just like Misfortune, provides another level of artillery for the 7DS backline, where Malphite, Sejuani, and Leona can go in, lock down any number of targets they please, and provided the Honest and Craft haven't been locked down separately, they can just launch all sorts of unholy, ungodly damage towards anyone caught in the crossfire.
Okay, we're going to flavor that with the condition that Gekno can scale out of the damage range of all champions on the side of 7 Deadly Sins. It is going to be the struggle. Maybe Vel'Kar's can sort of get a Leandries, but even then, after Spirit Visage Warmogs or Spirit Visage and a Magic Resist themed item is going to be really, really troublesome to get this Dr. Munder down. Misfortune not really themed to build the Blade of the Rune King and another item. So it's going to be heal reduction instead of health bar vanishing, the two main ways of getting rid of Dr. Mundo. It's going to be a little bit of a struggle here for the Seven Deadly Sins side if Gekno chooses to just power farm away and scale up as quickly as possible. Victor in the mid lane has an okay matchup against Kraft. So Vel'Koz, Platypus is going to have to be aware that Vel'Koz has lots of little spikes that really do make the Victor suffer. Outside of the range of Gravity Cage, it is going to be a tool pretty much reserved for the 2v2. It does serve quite well to stop Ileona, Sejuani, Malphite dive and to reorganize that positioning favorably for Vengeance. Otherwise, it's going to be business as usual. Serenika's Nami, rather, the other way around. Going to be responsible for much of the disengage here, a bit of the healing. They're going to have to keep going till this Ezreal gets where he wants to be with Dr. Mundo up front and hopefully Mordekaiser in the sideline.
Yeah, you can see how Vengeance Academy are fitting together. They have the identifiable late game frontline in Dr. Mundo. They've got Mordekaiser with a lot of disruption if he can take one carry out of the fight. They can flank with those two picks, but Victor is a tough one to leave alone. It's nice if he can get the gravity field on that front line. It might be too late by the time that burst has been put down, however. The Ezreal Nami is really the crucial part of the comp for me, because they have to be dealing consistent poke, also landing their poke and disengage at the same time. It's a really big ask compared to the reliability of the just press R comp, so to speak, from the Seven Deadly Sins team. And Vengeance Academy, I really like the courage to do that in a game 3. It must be hard for them mentally to come back from such a chastening defeat in game 2. And I really want to see them put everything on the line to try and get the early lead, because it's going to be so critical if games 1 and 2 are anything of a learning experience for us.
Will be on Vengeance to keep this smooth into the late game. So maybe not so much an early lead, but they have to make sure that they don't lose it, that tempo does not completely slip away from them. If it does start slipping away, they have to identify the time they're coming back in, get comfortable, because they're going to be in for the long ride at this game.
Okay, a bit of news from the other stream as well. Valence League, official Valence League 1, the main stream, has closed. The Slowbros Academy have completed a 2-0 victory over the Full Mental Jackets in Div 4. So getting an idea for those power spikes. And yeah, we'll hopefully be seeing both of those teams in action on these two streams later on in the season. We're yet to see the result of this one, of course. It's about to go into game 3, and hopefully all of the eyes of VL are on this one, as we see some of the best players in Div 4 go head-to-head, and they're looking to win in what will be a really crucial matchup when we get to playoff season. I'm really hyped for this one, Temporal. I want to see which philosophy and which set of 5 players takes the dub in this one.
No, I'm not going to sing Silver Scrapes. It is Silver Scrapes time. We are ready for an exciting game 3. Give us your predictions in chat. We are going to be looking at them. We'll shout some of them out as we get started here. Oh, crowd, it's game 3 time. It's time to tiebreak a series. Both teams, as you said, will be contesting for playoffs. Most likely, it's going to be the match that matters so early on in the season.
Yeah, with single round robin, or rather single round best of 3 robin last time, there is the potential of carrying over results into split 4, but right now the teams are just looking for position in split 3, as we aim to get our timings synced with each other at the start of this final game.
Okay.
This makes it fairly easy right now.
Ah, that does make it really easy.
Okay, so let's have a look at some of the masteries and decisions that have come out so far. I like the fleet from Gekno, just getting that extra bit of healing out. And some pretty standard ones all around. Ezreal actually going for Conquer on this one. Is that a standard one?
That's the standard at the moment. We may see it change this patch or next. I believe Press the Attack has some value on the Ezreal. On the large, though, it's Conqueror, especially for the late game sort of coming online of Ezreal. It plays really well with Death Stance. It plays really well when Ezreal is empowered, which at the moment we often play 2C. Gekno picking up the fleet footwork is also standard. It's what Dr. Mundo likes. Get that little bit of extra speed through the jungle. Keep up with his ganks. Once he lands one auto attack, he'll continue to land the rest of his empowered auto attacks. Icy Arrow opting in for Aftershock will be the team fight special. It's pretty standard, but there are one or two other options out there. Phase Rush from Platypus is the way to go pretty much on this patch. You can go for some of the other damage options, but they all do fall by the wayside compared to Victor being empowered, being able to dash around, chain that into his Q, or reposition for a better Death Laser, and it all just comes together fantastically.
So eyes at the moment are probably on Somtha and Gekno. Their early lead in game 1 was a big part of what made Vengeance so competitive and taking a big early lead. 70S with a nice little invade on the bot side, by the way. Just getting some vision down onto Franklin, who pops the emote back. Always great to see in a decisive game 3 in a competitive scenario, but maybe that gives them the mental edge right now.
Okay, a really, really good ward actually against the Dr. Mundo, as he can often choose to solo start on the Raptors, which start... Oh, Gekno opted in for the machete. You can go Talisman, pop your W, and take those chickens down in a turbo fashion. Instead, we'll be going for that single unit clear. Can opt, because of Dr. Mundo's damage and health regen, to go for a slightly more full clear than we've been seeing this series, in which most players go for those single target camps and then look to gank, gain some quick pressure on the map. Instead, it will be a slightly more full clear. Sejuani also starting off on the south side of the map, or I suppose west is more appropriate. We'll also be going for clearing this side of the jungle, and then maybe would look to avoid the chickens. Sejuani doesn't really like them at the early stage of the game. It's a little bit to do with clear speed more than health. And then we'll be looking to gank top side of both. So it will be a pretty explosive 2v2, somewhere between top and mid in about a minute's time.
Yeah, I really like the change of pace from both junglers. We've been seeing them on Jarvan and Lee Sin. Oh, a Leona engaged, just going wide with the level 2 spike for Sleep and Shine in the bot lane. Yeah, I really like the change of pace from Jarvan and Lee Sin. Now going for a bit more of a methodical style. Ice with a lot more CC and a lot less damage. Gekno with a lot more of a scaling pick, and he can't pull off those big boy mechanic flash insect plays they could in games 1 and 2. Somtha with a nice trade getting that passive down, but Joe is going to be in possession of biscuits and a corrupting potion. He's going to be piling on those cheese wheels, so a really big onslaught of damage coming Mordekaiser's way. Both junglers in the top half of the map right now.
Something maybe overcommitting a little bit. Tanking minions was the difference in that trade. If you take that trade, you'd ideally just expect Mordekaiser to walk all over it. Nice chunk on in the middle from Kraft. But when you take that trade to force Mordekaiser passive in a huge wave of minions, which is still there, something, you're going to tank all of those every time you aggro onto Joe. He's still taking damage from them.
This could be a fight over Crab in the top side temporal, and Gekko's going to avoid it. He's going to go for Joe here. Looks for a flash very early. Safe flash from Motor Joe as the damage continues down. We're going to be seeing those infected cleavers come down rapidly, and Joe gets out of there. But here comes the flank from 7DS. Flash Q from Ice forces the flash out of Gekno, and Somtha similarly is burned. Crab looking for the catch out now, has the Plasma Fission, and First Blood goes to Ice Arrow with a damage ability that carries his element.
I did sort of crinkle my forehead a bit when Joe got away on that one. Something could have maybe flash queued and asked Gekno to take the extra shot.
Oh, we're going to be looking bot lane now as Chime goes in on Serenica. Nice disengaging Aqua Prison there. Arcane Shift completing the escape for Vengeance Academy's bot lane.
Yeah, when you overcommit to a dive like that one in the top lane, we're going to finish that one off. You have to make it worth it. Otherwise, you just shouldn't have gone for the play, and you've sort of punished yourself almost. A little bit of a vanilla engage in the bottom lane. It will be the Leona's job this time around. Joe doing a good job in top.
Oh, and there's a great engage, dodging the Aqua Prison as well. Chime looking really huge here. Burns the heal out of Franklin, who is now also out of mana, and as a result, has practically zero lane presence right now. Kraft pulling out a disintegration passive onto Platypus as well. So great lane presence from pretty much the whole 7DS team. It's not what Vengeance Academy want at all right now.
Definitely not. It will be the struggle. Sleep doing reasonably well in this bottom lane. It should be looking to the main way to upset Ezreal, make their back for Tear of the Goddess, or ideally they kind of want Sheen first and then Manamune. completely untenable and let them bleed more CS. Sure, they'll come back with the item anyway, but if it puts them further behind, that's exactly what you want to do in the bottom lane. Making the wave stay right next to the tower so that you can always dump it at a moment's notice is normally the way to go. Even if it does make you vulnerable, the Ezreal army, not a great amount of damage. So even in the 3v2, definitely not all over for Chambra and Sleep. Gekno does get away with the crab, but it's looking close.
A lot of passive stacks coming out. I like the flash engage, but it goes wide from Leona. Might still be cleaned up anyway. Ice looking for the kill, gets it second on the board. He's really the gold carrier right now, but the team will take those if it gets them some kills. Nice catch out on the enemy jungler.
It's what you want to look for. Gravity Field made excellent use there, but unfortunately the early investment of summoner spells and Honest Sleep committing flash as well meant that the damage was mostly already done and Gekno couldn't quite make it to the tower safety. Somtha burning a lot of cooldowns aggressively in this top lane. Joe's going to hit 6 soon, and this is looking pretty explosive.
Yeah, you called it, and he immediately uses ult, has the 6 spike, and that's going to be a very clean kill. Just as in the bot side of the map, the Infernal Drake is taken. Get this, at 6 minutes. Both other 2 games have featured 12-minute dragons, and that's a massive lot of damage for Kraft in the mid lane. Looking for the kill, and Platypus forces the flash. Gekno coming into the side. Kraft has no mana. Has already used his flash offensively. Surely right pickings for the infected cleavers here. Gekno is going to get that kill, and so much aggression is turned around by the Mundo.
Right place, right time for Gekno. Kraft committing so much to stat check Platypus's flash, and without vision on the enemy jungle, that sort of play is a little bit questionable. Gekno this time making sure it works, that he receives his just reward for an overpunish in the middle lane.
Yeah, it's nice to see Kraft knowing that top lane has gone ahead so well with Ice cleaning up the kills around the map and with Sleep and Chime taking lane control and turning it into a bit of position, that he still wants to give Vengeance Academy a chance at the game and flashes in without the jungler being there. I love the potential kill threat though. Kraft really sensing the lethal and showing his aggression by going in with that flash Q in the mid lane.
What a play from Joe in the top lane as well. So much is happening all at once. We're not really getting to talk about all the different things in this game. Setting up nearly exactly where we want to be.
Another great Kraft with a 3-stack from Kraft. 40% health on Platypus already shortly after coming back to lane. He's flashless, doesn't really have an upgrade past the Mark 1 Hex core at the moment.
That is a huge thing. Victor doesn't really want to go back to lane unless he can pick up the pieces of this almost false item that he has to build. It's going to be the real struggle if he's sent back multiple times without being able to spend a reasonable amount of gold. Victor does live and die by his gold pattern, the way that he has to go back to base. It's why you'll nearly always see teleport taken on him. Platypus opting for the cleanse because of the presence from Iziara Sejuani, and late game the Leona factor really does make him struggle here in the early game.
Damage. Here comes the ultimate again. It's Chaos Storm in reply. Kraft looking for the kill, but the damage is very close. Chaos Storm may yet claim a kill. It's a 1-for-1 complete solo kill. No assists as both junglers are going to awkwardly meet up, shake hands, and drain XP off the mid wave afterwards.
Suppose you've got to love it. Both of them not quite there in time. Joe flexing his muscles in this top lane. Every time directed camera comes up, I do have to wonder if something is in danger.
Gekno processing the ult in the mid lane, just getting that heal off after Ice takes a big trade. Yeah, Motojo has his ult ready. Somtha has the flash. He'll need quick reactions, and Gekno has used them in the top side. Motojo forces the flash, takes the kill anyway as Kraft comes in, gets the damage onto Gekno. Can he look for the kill? Gekno has no flash to speak of, no ult to speak of, and no life to speak of. That's going to be another kill for 7DS. Kraft with his second of the game.
Taken back in the same way as the first kill onto Kraft as well. Really unfortunate that Gekno just sort of wanted to push the envelope a little bit there. Punished by the teleport from Kraft. It's just great having teleport on as a mid laner, being where you can be, where you need to be at the right time from anywhere. With the death timer so low, Gekno really should have known that one was coming.
Yeah, and it's really great to see, as Jaded has pointed out in Twitch chat, the junglers 1v1ing mid at this point of the game. It's showing the aggression and the desire to win from both teams, but 7DS really getting the edge in the macro plays and indeed upon knowing where their opponents are. Bot lane also coming ahead now because look at the CS, we're starting to get a slight advantage for Honestly. Honest and Chime about to hit double level 6, so they really need Franklin and Serenika's disengage to be on point to stop that.
Okay, will be reflected down here in the bottom lane. Nice double up, takes Serenica down to half, but Ami's healing already so effective, even with few items. We'll take half of that back on. Before it will land again. A pause here from Somtha. The platypus has disconnected for a moment, so we'll get that one sorted out. In the meantime, Cradden, what do you want to look for in the next few minutes?
Yeah, next few minutes has to be, it's starting to be the acceleration of ults from 7DS. Every champion's now hit level 6, finishing off with Chime Bright in the last few seconds. So I really want to see them start to combine. We have a Rift Herald up at the moment. If we enable timers, we'll see that Cloud Drake is coming up within a minute. 7DS have to keep up the tempo and keep just gunning ahead. They've got a lot of resets recently, so I want to see them combining, securing vision around objectives like they did expertly last game, and then using the uncertainty factor to either take the objective or get a further kill lead.
Definitely looks like at the moment, Gegno's looking to cross-map this Rift Herald. If ICR heads down to clear his bottom side jungle, as maybe he should, because by the time he'll be done, there'll be a dragon. Gegno's probably going to get away with this one for free. There is then the option to contest the second dragon by dropping that Rift Herald in middle, making Craft and ICR get a little bit of an impossible choice, as they're either going to have to donate a whole bunch of gold on over to Gekno as he and Platypus leave the lane down towards dragon, and they can either convert that into a lead onto bottom or get a full reset on vision and then look to contest the dragon in full seconds later. Even with this Ezreal only on his tier, they are still able to set this up and do this.
Yeah, and that's what I really want to see. Both bot lanes, they've had a lot of impact on each other. They haven't given away kills to each other, which is always great to see from a bot lane. It's how they start making plays on the rest of the game, and MF certainly has the advantage now. Neither have a completed item, but you've got to take a BF sword over a tier of the goddess, and MF's preponderance for quick fights over Ezreal's power of just being able to poke throughout a lane. So the quick switches that I want to see from 7DS certainly favors their lane more than it does Franklin getting that poke off and Serenica having to hit that one bit of disengage when Leona hits the button.
So while I did mention it's possible for Franklin and Serenica to be the difference in this dragon fight, they are that small extra maybe. Honest Sleep and Chime Bright are advantaged at the moment. You've got to love the BF sword advantage when you're up against an Ezreal. You see their tier of the goddess and you just think, ha, a real item. I have one, you don't. It does take a while for that item to be gold efficient, scaling up into the Manamune. Franklin halfway up to his Sheen. Can base and get that one at the moment, actually. So we might look for a turbo reset from the bottom side. They do have the wave to do it. The cannon is here, so they're a little bit late, but not too late. All importantly, they can get out of here and get back before the cannon goes down to their tower. It's going to be a bit of a question as to whether they choose to do so, and whether Icy Arrow sets up in the jungle exactly the way to allow that play. It's going to be an interesting 60 seconds.
Yeah, that's the thing with Dragon coming up. The reset allows Ezreal to get either a Sheen or work towards pickaxe or whatever he wants to build. But it's also about getting back for that Dragon. And one of the things I like when casting, particularly as a play-by-play, is seeing two objectives up at the same time, whether it's Elder Baron or at this early stage, Rift Herald versus Cloud Drake. At the moment, Gekno has big priority over Rift Herald. Unfortunately, I can't quite shift the camera, but I think he's currently attempting it with no enemy wards over the area. So
I didn't see if he got onto it, but that is cleaver range.
We'll find the answer to that one as soon as we get resumed, which hopefully is shortly. If that means that Vengeance Academy gets something on the board, they can at least use that, if not to fight a dragon, to get a counter push while the dragon goes on. They don't want to be in the situation where 7DS can get back, ward up both places, have their ults ready, and just continue doing what 7DS have made a name for themselves doing in the last few games. Gekno is in Herald Pit, but hasn't started it yet. Does at this point.
Okay, looks like we're not opting for the base here from Franklin and Serenica. Instead, they might have to take a slightly more suboptimal one if they want to spend that money before this dragon contest would allow them back in. The Sheen doing so much work on Ezreal. Somtha has got priority here in the top lane, still bashing these minion waves down faster than Joe, the Manaless champion, allowing him to do that as he's playing to that style. That means Gekno will get this Herald nearly uncontested. Craft doesn't suspect a thing.
Yeah, there it is. Mundo picking it up and immediately moving top, which betrays a lot with Cloud Drake coming up. 7DS will see the Herald attempt with Mundo up top. and they may call for a dragon right now. It's a real cross-map play from our two teams. Ice looking for that aggression, goes straight into a gravity field, but Kraft's there as well. Platypus has to play this really carefully because Ice has his ult available. That's a nice stun. Cleanse won't help Platypus there. Meanwhile, Motojo is dealing with the Herald threat expertly and takes it down. Turret loses 2 plates, 7DS winning everywhere.
Okay, that means that for only the cost of 320 gold split between 2 players, not a whole lot at the end of the day, complete dragon priority from 7 Deadly Sins. Means that they will go to 2 here, and they will be contesting either the Ocean or the Mountain Soul in 5 minutes. They will be looking to get onto the points. I'm mincing my words a little, but it is not looking great here. Franklin a little early with a true shot barrage.
Yeah, really enjoy the attempt by Ezreal. Namiel might have been a bit misguided, but I think the two of them were trying to coordinate potential steal with the combined damage of both those abilities. It's a potential steal, and it doesn't happen too often, because 7DS did end up securing in that time. And it's going to be an Ocean Drake, or rather an Ocean Soul. We're going to ignore that now as a teleport is going to respond to Gekno's attachment. Chimebright with a 2-man solar flare. Motojo comes in with the Unstoppable Force and sets up inside a bullet time. Fantastic combination of ultimates from 7 Deadly Sins members. Will take down Serenica, clear the wave. Franklin's not going to be able to respond to this too well. It might well be a tower on the table for 7DS.
7DS, stop him getting these minions. Get under there. Get under that tower. Okay. For optimizing the plates, they do pay with Franklin picking up the minions he shouldn't have been. See, what was stopping that happening a little early? In the greater sense of the game, Serenica and Franklin burning their ultimates there should have been a red flag. You can then not start a fight on the bottom side, let alone one with teleports up from the side of 7 Deadly Sins, and expect to get away with it. Something will pick up a little more plate gold, but he is already 1,000 gold behind Joe at this stage. And while plates are pretty good, and we're enjoying them this season, as I'm sure everyone can get from their own solo queue experiences, staying in lane that little bit longer does reward you. It is not on that scale. Joe, now with that Abyssal Mask completed, will be looking to take the fight directly to Somther in this top lane.
Yeah, doesn't have ult, but still has damage with the Thunderclap Fists. And with Somther already using the drag back, it's pretty safe damage for Motojo. So really asserting dominance. The CS is pretty even up there, but the bounty, the kills for Motojo, you're right, the plates on top, it's just a big lead for that top laner. Chime with a really nice move up to the top side to get that vision down. That's a really beautiful set of deep wards that 7DS have brought down. As Joe and Gekno start trading, Gekno popping his ult might give him the advantage in this fight. Joe actually needing to flash away from that one as an amazing solar flare comes down, followed up with 2 prompt abilities. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Joe trying to turn around the trade. Just about gets it with that last turret shot. Fantastic play in both top and mid lanes for 7DS.
No need to overkill your opponent when you can kill them by, I believe that was the exact amount of damage needed to take out Gekno. Really feeling trapped between a rock and a hard place up here. I guess you could say Joe is motoring on along in this top lane. just comfortably cruising the way you want to be on a Malphite. Lots of options. I would have maybe liked to have seen Chime rotate to top just to secure that one, as you know, it kind of was on Gekno to dive under that tower to make it all go sour. But instead, they punish the missing cleanse in the middle, and Platypus will have that one back up now, but they're bleeding gold everywhere.
Yeah, Chime looking for presence and gets it. Takes a bit of poke. Franklin started to augment his damage a bit, but that's more than they counted for. Serenica is isolated and is taken down by a series of ultimates. True Shot Barrage not going to reduce anyone below half health, but here come Vengeance Academy enforced. Gekno is here. We're going to have something here with the flash as well, looking to get something on Chimebright. Was the ult required? It's going to be blocked by the stopwatch. It shouldn't matter because of the damage that comes through from Vengeance Academy. That heal is actually going to get Chimebright out. That's a fantastic result. Platypus is still here for Vengeance Academy, but that's going to be a life form disintegration ray, taking out the lead top laner, Somther. Massive damage. Great fight again for 7DS.
It really must be frustrating to be Somther right now. Slowed by the seismic shard out of his teleport. He couldn't quite get into the position he wanted. The fantastic stopwatch out of Chimebright. Such fast fingers. You've got to love the little micro plays like that, cancelling the Death Realm. It should still be available for Somther now, but he opts, you know, we maybe don't need it. Then there's Summon a Heal from Honest Sleep. Gets Chime into range of the tower, denies Somther his prize effectively. Now Kraft really punishing Platypus in this middle lane. It is only going to get more and more Vel'Koz favored as time goes on.
Yeah, looking at the damage, it's massive. Vel'Koz has 5 kills, Sorks for Magic Pen, Ludens for augmented damage even further. It's getting disgusting at this point, and I'm sure Kraft is already eyeing the Medjay Soul Stealer if he gets suddenly ahead doing that game too. Yeah, the Zoe was strong, the Vel'Koz is showing that as well. The teleport is available just to add to the misery that Vengeance Academy are feeling right now. The third Drake on the table at 16 minutes. It's a much accelerated program compared to last time. And 7DS are just taking what they know. They're taking a comp they know how to play, and they're just able to excel at it with consistent picks. The problem for Vengeance Academy is it's only going to get stronger in terms of cohesion for 7 Deadly Sins. There's not much they can turn to, namely the tankiness of Mundo and the scaling and the poke of Ezreal, but it's looking very bleak if you compare the history of the last 2 games to this one. We're seeing the third Drake attempted now as the Rift Herald is threatened by Mundo and Mordekaiser for Vengeance Academy. It's a nice split by 7 Deadly Sins. They've got Vel'Koz in the area. They're looking to force Vengeance off of the Rift Herald while the dragon is safely secured.
There's a lot of anti-synergy here. Mordekaiser like straight up contests and big fights that the Death Realm really matters in. Unfortunately, these cross-map plays, while they are successful, there was a lot of advantage given over there.
In the mid lane, Motojo using the ult to close distance, it looks like. Chime flashing in, a nice bit of miscommunication there. Causes Platypus to get out alive. Nice cleanse as well to get out of the Sejuani ult. And 7DS really desperate to make the plays, not coming off in that scenario.
You know what the problem with that one is? Even though 7 Deadly Sins got really overexcited on Hyphy and blew a whole bunch of ultimates, it was still worth it. Getting the cleanse out of Platypus makes him a target for 3 minutes. It is going to be a real struggle for him to be ducking, diving, and dodging all of these bullets coming his way in the next few minutes. The Leona, like the Sejuani, and the Malphite just are really going to make his life a complete misery.
Yeah, and we've already seen from Chime just how well she can fire off those solar flares, including that multi-target one mid lane. Ice is really being on point now with the Sejuani ults. They've got a lot of lockdown, and they're bringing it to bear. Not only that, they've actually got a 7k gold lead, borne about by their lane advantage, their turret advantage. They've got 3 Drakes, and they've got bounties on 4 champions, everyone but the Leona at this point. Just look at the map presence provided by the deep wards, and it's going to be so difficult if you're a Vengeance Academy fan or player to get out of this sort of situation.
Absolutely. It does give them the targets to shoot for, at least.
Oh, here's one for you. It's Somtha. Unstoppable Force combined with the Lifeform Disintegration rate. It's a lot of damage. Somtha forced into ulting onto the Malphite. It's not going to be great for him as Malphite gets the kill. Gekno is here, but can't get anywhere near to the Vel'Koz at this point. Meanwhile, the Solar Flare lands once again from Chime. Going in is going to be the Zenith Blade. We're going to have the Shield of Daybreak looking for the kill, and the last tick of Ignite does it.
Absolutely stylish. You just have to love when it all comes together. Like Leona, I remember when Cheap Shot was like a brand new rune. It was flavor of the month to with Leona's new auto attack damage. Just deal loads of true damage to people, and I don't think that's ever really gone away. We are going to see this tower go down in the bottom side. I would like to see a bit of a rotation up to mid lane, and then like an even sprinkling of vision around this Ocean Soul. I think 7 Deadly Sins can push the envelope here. Look for a pick to make this one work. Instead of vision domination, you can take the greedy way in here and go completely unpunished with their current position.
Yeah, why waste 375 collective gold on wards when you can just turn that into...
Oh, they need the wards, but it should be spread around the opponent's middle lane T1, so that if something else happens, they can then pivot and scoop more advantage in.
Ah, yes, not the reckless play. That's the one. Now I understand. More expert courses on macro will be available at twitch.tv/Cradden, but for now, let's focus on Game 3. As Gekno's coming up top, he's popped the Blast Cone, looking for a gank on Motojo here, who's able to survive on pretty high health for now. Flash makes it secure. Leona is in the wings, as 2 other members of 7DS are coming up to the top side. It's actually going to be interesting to see how long Vengeance Academy stay around. They're making the Herald play, and that sort of commits them at the moment. 7DS looking to outnumber Ezreal and Nami on the bot side. They've got no way to get up there. Looks like just a safe turret. And credit to Vengeance Academy, they've got it. They're escaping at the moment.
It's a small advantage, and they are still farming, importantly, on this bottom lane. That will be the greatest source of gold for the team. I didn't spot the timer on that Rift Herald. I'm not sure if they could have saved it a little bit longer, maybe use it to grab some vision somewhere else, because Vengeance still not commanding a whole lot of vision on this top side. They do have the tri-bush down, but otherwise they are set up on the south side of the jungle. Bit of split priorities here, maybe.
Yeah, it's nice to see the teams roam around the map and just try and give priority to the fights, try and back each other up when there's a bit of distress for one of the players. Ezreal and Nami, they do have good wards, but that might not be enough to take out Chime and Sejuani, who are coming down. Ice rather than Sejuani. That's a player name, not a champion. It's a nice escape, however, from the bot side of Vengeance.
Okay, they do lose most of their vision with this rotation. 35 seconds to go. 35 seconds, most importantly, is the last moment you can push recall, shop over 2 seconds, and then take 25 seconds to run to either the dragon or a T1 tower on the map. That is like the hard limit for basing. It's like getting there at the last second, but it is the last second you can do it safely.
Okay, so Volkos is in, forces Franklin out of the way as the pressure over Drake is starting in earnest from both sides. Motojo has the teleport and he's up top. The pressure is really on Vengeance Academy to do something here, and 7DS can just back off for now. They can wait for Vengeance to start it. Here comes the teleport now. They're pulling the trigger instead. They're looking for something. A lot of CC coming through, and the ult is popped up, honestly. Meanwhile, the fight is brought out. Massive ultimates coming down on the Vengeance Academy roster. Can Somtha at least win his 1v1? He goes gold, and MF is brought out into the real world, where she instantly takes out 2 members with a bullet time. Franklin, the only surviving member of Vengeance Academy, is harried, harassed, CC'd, and finally brought to meet the other 4 members of VNGA in the afterlife. That's going to be a soul and a clean sweep towards either more turrets or the Baron at 22 minutes.
Got to love those clean sweep. I just love Malphite gameplay. Unstoppable Force is such a treat to watch always. Somtha really struggling here. It is a little bit, I think some people said it in Twitch chat in game 1, a little bit of top diff, but the other way. This time around, Joe with a commanding performance. He's got his masks, his Abyssal and Adaptive Helm. Really putting on the pressure here. I don't really see this one turning around. A 10,000 gold lead, Soul at 23 minutes, and Baron to cap it off.
Yeah, anyone who was VL betting on VNGA must be sweating kind of about now, because it's looking increasingly unlikely that they'll pull off a heroic comeback like we saw several of in game 1. 7DS sort of splitting at the moment. 2 members going back, but 3 going to take the blue buff. Gekno secures it to give him credit, but there's no hope for him taking on those 3 alone. The reset is completed by 7DS.
It's good to get back here, reassess your priorities, call where you are going to place that vision. All importantly, they have the next few minutes of Baron buff. They have to make it count. While we did say we can't really see the comeback here, that doesn't make it truly impossible. Way back into this game normally rhymes with wait for Dragon or Baron, and then an Elder. Just Somtha has got to just ult away ICR and give Gekno a route in onto the objective. Turn it around with Elder. Your Ezreal should be online by then. He does have Muramana and Sheen right now. The Death Stance 3rd item coming up after the Iceborne Gauntlet. There is still a way back in here for Vengeance. It is a way away though, as that gold lead continues to grow on the power play.
Yeah, 11.2k, that is absolutely massive. Look at mid diff, it's currently 2.8k. You can look at 2k on the AD carries. We could talk about numbers for a while, but nothing illustrates the point quite like seeing the ultimates tear VNGA apart like they did for the Ocean Soul. Speaking of Ocean Soul, it's just going to make it more and more difficult.
Completely taking a straight up fight into Ocean Soul. Suicide, even when the comps are mostly together. I think the really damning fact is when we can start talking about, like, you mentioned 2,500 gold there being the gold diff. That's items. Full items are just missing for Vengeance Academy. It is going to be a real struggle to just make the difference without those, those huge base statistics that Victor loves so well that makes the difference in the 1v1 on the Mordekaiser. Those are the strength of this composition, and it's just not there yet.
Yeah, 7DS ready to pull the trigger. There's the Solar Flare. Must be on the same page as the rest of the team. Here comes the Disintegration Ray. Not more needed, as Somtha is going to go down. 5v4 already. Motojo is going to be applying pressure from the top side. Rest of the team still in mid.
Got to keep the pressure on, take it slow, synchronize these waves. The middle wave is way behind this top one, so it should be, Vengeance should be able to get this one going. They should be able to defend these waves, but that huge one on top side takes so long. The Victor's not yet able to clear them out. It's going to be a real struggle. They're going to lose this mid T3.
yeah, Joe doing so much to deflect the attention of Vengeance up to the top side. Rest of the team can break through mid inhib right now.
Excuse me a moment. I'm just having a bit of a brain fart. Yeah, we're gonna just see this infrastructure cleaned up. I mean, it's really uphill. Not even any anti-heal out, with the exception of Gekno. Means it's just gonna be nearly impossible here to take down Motojo. Honestly,
Those lane ults aren't going to do much for Vengeance, but here comes the 70s full swing. It's going to be a lot of damage onto Gekno. Sontha using the ultimate to get out of harm's way for a while onto Motojo, but 70s are coming back in. Laser will take Sontha down very, very low, but no kills yet. Vengeance staying alive. Gekno having his ultimate burn through, but it's not enough. 70s rampaging forward. They're looking for the inhib, and they may turn. They may continue kills. Plasma Fission sneaking that kill on Sontha. 5 versus 3, Ocean Soul in full effect. Siege at its most powerful, 70s. So far ahead, 14k gold, still firing so much damage down. They're taking Nexus turrets. This is looking to be the game 3 here. Vengeance Academy looking completely unable to affect this at all. It's KDA padding, Chaos Storm, even Stimmied. It's not getting onto Craft. The full 5 members of 70s will close out this series, and Vengeance have been avenged. It's the reverse sweep.
Got to live a reverse sweep in the best of 3. Congratulations to the 7 Deadly Sins. They really did turn it around after a shaky first game. And, oh wow, what a performance. I think everyone RPGing fantastically there. Chime Bright looks nigh on unkillable. Icy Arrow was picking people off left, right, and center. Joe was an unmovable rock in that top side. And, Craft tying it all together, tons of damage once again. Not quite going for the Soul Stealer special this time, but hey, it really worked out for them here.
Yeah, what can we say? It was just a really solid advance from a small early game lead. There were a couple of traded objectives to begin with, but then the fight started coming out in earnest, and led by massive damage coming out of Joe, Craft, and Sleep, combined with great CC and presence by Ice Arrow and great ults by Chime. 7DS worked together. They wanted to do that with their comp. It worked out on the Rift. Everyone's going to be calling Craft a feeder because his 2 deaths were the only 2 in the entirety of the 7DS roster that game. That's as close to a stomp as you're going to see in a competitive game on stream. And it doesn't do Vengeance Academy justice, because if you look at their highs, you saw game 1, but they were just outplayed at their most completely in this game 3. So they'll live to fight for a few more series. They've got a longer season to go on. They've got the potential of Split 4 after that, if we're going to go for a sort of back-to-back split format. But for now, it is 7DS's day, and the junior team of that academy is really going to do a number on Vengeance Academy in Division 4.
All right, to talk about it, here we have top laner and Malphite savant extraordinaire, Motojo.
And we'll drag him in now. Hey there, Motojo.
Hi guys, how you doing?
I'm doing well. That's got to be a fantastic performance for you there. How do you feel after winning 2-1 against Vengeance?
I wasn't feeling all too good after game 1, but getting to play Malphite and just getting to do my thing, that felt good, I guess.
I imagine you feel a bit more rock solid after those 2 performances.
yeah, that was... I'm feeling pretty solid right now, yeah.
Good stuff.
That's the one. How were comms with your team? Because we noticed that a lot of what you and your team wanted to do was get your R buttons and sync your ultimates together and coordinate. Did you think that went okay for you guys, or were there a few problems going at the same time?
I think it went pretty well, communicating these key ultimates, especially in the 3rd game. We've been working on that actually, and I think we've improved a lot over the last few weeks when it comes to communication and team fights. So yeah, went good.
Nice. Okay. The Malphite was picked quite early in draft both times. Is it something you're happy just blinding into anything?
Well, apparently it is.
Okay.
Yeah, it was partly me being able to say, okay, I can blind it, it's fine, and partly wanting to ensure later picks that are different later in the draft. So when there's champions I can just play, I'll just say pick them early. I don't care if I get countered. I'll just do my thing, sit there.
Okay, you showed real prowess in the Silas matchup. Normally that one goes mostly Silas's way, and despite an early wobble, it looks really strong there. Is that one you've played much of before?
Luckily for some other champions of me, Silas top isn't played all that much in solo queue, but Yeah, I just entered a bit early, standing on that second proc of the chains because a lot of minions were standing there and I didn't see it, I think. But yeah, after that, I just kept poking with the Q and he just didn't do anything against it, and so he was in range to be killed with when I reached level 6.
Yeah, well, it certainly got better from there. You actually finished, well, most of your team finished game 3 without dying a single time.
Yeah,
And you managed to get better top lane results as the game went on as the series went on. Game 3 was a real highlight because you went so far ahead of Somtha.
Yeah.
How much do you think was, and we're going to go for potentially Flame here, we'll see what you go with. How much do you think was the matchup between you and Somtha, or how much do you think the two junglers impacted your early game?
I think in game 1 that the two early Lee Sin ganks really fucked me up, but then I just kind of turned my brain off and got solo killed twice. That put me on edge a little bit. But overall, in game 2 and 3, I think we saw what happened.
Yeah, definitely able to turn it back around even when your chips are down. It's good to be that resilient. Is there like a major call or engage that sort of you want to share, like your favorite moment in comms from the series?
Let me think about that for a second.
That's okay.
Yeah, I really like that we didn't give up at all in the first game, even though it looked very, very grim, and we kept looking for these opportunities to find these. And I really, really liked how we were super decisive when we found a catch that we just all piled on. There was one in the jungle by the blue buff, I think, fairly early on, when it looked very, very bad, and then we just got a catch for free and killed 2 or 3 people, and like everybody piled on immediately.
Yeah, it looked really synchronized from our side, so congratulations on orchestrating that one between yourselves. Cradden, any further questioning? We should grill Joe while he's here.
Yeah, we might as well get the chance. I mean, I want to ask Joe about his prospects for later on in the split, because for anyone who hasn't seen 7DS up to this point, they didn't drop a game last regular season. Joe, do you think that's something you can do again, or do you think there are any really threatening teams you'll have to prepare against?
Well, we already dropped one game, so we can't really do that anymore. But I think with how game 2 and 3 went today, and with how scrims have been going, and how we've been improving, I'm gonna make the call that if we lose another game, it's only gonna be a game 1.
Okay, I like the outlook, and you can really have confidence seeing game 2 and game 3, as you've just said. Looking towards, one of the things I brought up during the cast was that the two teams playing, Vengeance and Seven Deadly Sins, your two senior teams are actually fighting right at the peak of Division 1. They're considered by many to be the two best teams in the amateur league at the moment. Do you think, with the way you're playing at the moment, even with the 3 division gap between the teams, do you think there's a chance of moving up to the senior team for any of you?
I can't really say anything about that because while we work closely together with the coaches as well, I can't really talk about any like coaching or positional decisions. I think we're just happy playing what we're doing right now, and we just want to win the division, and after that we can see.
We call that a wise move not to call out your own senior team on stream. Well done. Yeah, are there any, just to close, are there any final remarks you have, either for your team, your opponents, or just anyone watching at the moment?
Yeah, for my team, I'm really, really happy that they decided to pick me up because I wasn't sure I'd get another chance to show myself after last split went pretty badly overall. And I'm happy they gave me the confidence, and I think I've been paying it back. So I'm really happy with that. As for the rest of Division 4, watch out. We're gonna destroy you all.
I did just a mild threat there. Watch out, Div 4. 7 Deadly Sins are coming.
Yeah, I don't think there's any better way we could close it out there. So for all of Div 4 that are about to be watching out, for everyone else who were watching a great series between 7 Deadly Sins and Vengeance Academy, the score 2-1 to 7 Deadly Sins in the end, it's time to wrap it up for tonight. Thanks to all teams and players that played today, and to the production team, both casters and streamers on the other stream as well. It's been me, Cradden. It's been Temporal on the opposing side of the casting desk. And it's been a top lane monster Motor Joe in the interview room. Thank you all,
for having
and
me.
we're going to head off for the night. Have a good one.
All right. Thanks for watching, everyone.